Chapter 9-10. Although Dao monarch Morning Sun was kneeling in front of Jingling, he still maintained a trace of persistence and said, Morning Sun wants to give it a try. When Morning Sun ascends in the future, I will definitely look for the sacred master and contribute all of my research. No need. Since you don't want to listen to me, you can do it yourself. Jingting shook his head and said. Jingting relented. Yes, thank you Sacred Lord for not blaming me, Mohina Jin said happily. Before I woke up from my previous life, you had been following me. You protected me several times without caring about your life. Of course I remember it clearly. If I leave, I won't be able to take the great Jiao holy ground with me. I will pass it to you. We are even. Jingting said in a deep voice. Yes, thank you Sacred Lord, Mohina Jin said gratefully. Jingting flipped his hand and a scroll of Tianci appeared in his palm. Shangguan Wn took it and placed it in front of Mohina Jin. Take care of yourself. Jingting said one last sentence. Yes, thank you Sacred Lord. Mohina Jin knelt down heavily in front of Jingting. 6 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Out of the 300 upper emptiness realm experts, only 16 were unwilling to ascend. The others all brought 10 of their relatives and disciples and stood respectfully in the square of the Wu clan's main hall. These 6 hours were also the last 6 hours for Yang Chuan and Mo Yushi in this world. Yang Chuan and Mo Yushi reluctantly said goodbye. When the time was up, Mo Yushi left reluctantly. In the Mingfeng Mountain, Yang Chuan's eyes flashed with a trace of hatred. Power! Power! Yang Chuan gritted his teeth and said with hatred. If he was as powerful as Jingting, why would Mo Yushi leave? He took a few deep breaths and found it hard to calm his emotions. Qing Long, Bai Long, Rosefinch, Xuanwu and the others naturally followed Mo Yushi and left. There were more than 3,000 people standing in the square of the Wu clan's main hall. Everyone was overjoyed. Only Mo Yushi looked at Yang Chuan, her eyes filled with reluctance. There were countless Xiuzhi in the square. No matter if they were from the great Jiao Holy Land or the experts of the outer sects, their eyes were filled with envy. Ascending to become an immortal? This was the dream of many Xiuzhi. Even if it was an upper emptiness realm expert, it would still be a narrow escape from death. However, this group of people were all at the void stage. Could they ascend to the immortal world? No, among their family members, the weakest one was still a baby in their arms. How could he ascend like this? Countless cultivators were filled with regret. If they had known, they would have joined the great Jiao Holy Land back then. Di Qing, break the boundary, Jingting said in a low voice. As he spoke, Jingting stretched out his hand and beckoned towards the sky. A stream of light shot straight into the horizon. Boom! There was an explosion in the sky, and then a large hole suddenly appeared in the sky. In the big hole, endless golden light rushed down and enveloped everything around the Wu clan's main hall. Jingling stomped his foot. Rumble. A white cloud appeared under everyone's feet and carried everyone up to the sky. They flew towards the big hole in the void. As for Yuan Tiangang, because his strength had already surpassed immortals, it was easy for him to ascend. For immortals, it was only easy to leave this world, but difficult to enter. On the Wu clan's square, more than 3,000 Xiuzhi ascended at the same time. The scene was extremely spectacular. Countless Xiuzhi looked at them enviously as they flew towards the hole. However, Yang Chuan looked at Mo Yushi with great reluctance and unwillingness. Mo Yushi gave Yang Chuan a gentle smile. When the golden light enveloped everyone and prevented outsiders from seeing them clearly, Mo Yushi's eyes were also filled with reluctance. Stroking her belly, Mo Yushi bit her lips. Her heart was filled with guilt. I don't want the baby to become a fetter in your heart. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you. However, don't worry, I will give birth to him and take good care of him. When we are strong, we will reunite as a family. Do you still remember the feng shui formation when we first met? We met a nightmare inside and had a beautiful dream. In the dream, we also gave birth to a baby. There, you gave the baby a name, Yang Dong-yen. The name you gave the baby is Dong-yen. Mo Yushi thought with difficulty. Chapter 9-11. Enveloped in golden light, Jingting led more than 3,000 people to ascend to the immortal world. For a moment, auspicious clouds appeared all around the Dazhao Holy Land. Rays of light shot up to the sky, and the people could even hear the sound of bamboo. It was a very thick and beautiful sound. For a moment, countless cultivators were intoxicated. Immortal music. When cultivators ascend, the heavens and earth congratulate them. They really ascended. Around the Dazhao Holy Land, countless cultivators were envious. Once someone ascended to the immortal world, this sealed world would be filled with rays of light, congratulating the ascension. This was the heavens and earth's congratulation, encouraging all the cultivators in the world. And this congratulation of the heavens and earth sent a signal to the entire world. In a city of the Dazhao Holy Land, Meng Wanruo waved the white feather fan and took a deep breath. Jingting took the Dao seal. It seems like he succeeded. Jingting also ascended. It's time. Begin. Change the flag on the city wall. Meng Wanruo shouted. Yes. The crowd of cultivators immediately responded. In a valley, Hua Guang stood on the head of a giant tiger and saw the sky filled with rays of light, congratulating the heavens and earth. Soldiers, it's time for you to make contributions. Pick up your weapons and follow me to kill, Hua Guang shouted. Kill. In the valley, a loud roar rushed to the sky. And in a sect not far from Hua Guang. Inside the sect, countless disciples were looking at the rays of light in the sky. In the square of the sect master's hall, a white-browed old man came with his hands behind his back, followed by a group of purple-robed cultivators. Ascended. Could it be that Jingting ascended? Sect master, with Jingting gone, will our sect expand? Sect master. Everyone looked at the white-browed old man. The white-browed old man shook his head and said, the direction of the Dazhao Holy Land will be the place where the sects will attack. The future is unknown, we should not take the risk, but... Everyone saw a ray of light in the white-browed old man's eyes. The Great Shan dynasty in the south has more than 100 cities. The Great Shan dynasty is weak and hasn't been established for long. Those cities will be a waste in their hands. Why don't you hand them over to our sect to manage? Our sect's strength will definitely increase. The white-browed old man said with certainty. I heard that Yang Chuan hasn't attended morning court for many years. Yang capital must be empty. Sect master, shall we take this opportunity to destroy Diazhen? A cultivator laughed. The white-browed old man nodded with a smile. While everyone was planning to attack Yangjing. Kill. In the distance, a loud battle cry could be heard. The voice was very far away, but there seemed to be millions of cultivators shouting. Go and take a look. What's going on? The white-browed old man called out. Suddenly, a white light shot over from afar. Reporting, Sect Master. Not good. The Great Shan Empire's army is coming. In a valley. Yi Feng led close to 10,000 cultivators and drove the zombies towards a vassal sect of the Great Zhao Holy Land. Look carefully. Don't let any of these zombies escape. Yi Feng called out. Yes. Zhujian Sheng and the others immediately responded. In another vassal sect of the Great Zhao Holy Land. In the sky, countless merits shone on this vassal sect. Countless cultivators looked up at the endless auspicious clouds in the sky. A man in a golden robe suddenly appeared in the sky above the sect with a giant bell in his hand. Dong. The giant bell suddenly rang loudly. Ah! Ah! Countless cultivators in the sect immediately covered their ears and cried out in pain. Who is it? Suddenly, more than 10 strong cultivators rushed into the sky and surrounded Jin Dayu. Chapter 9:12. The Great Shan dynasty's third army commander, Jin Dayu, is here on the emperor's orders to enlist you. Jin Dayu shouted. Enlistment. Everyone's face sank. Everyone, I believe you can tell that Jingting has already ascended. Jin Dayu shouted. So what? Someone immediately shouted. The Great Zhao Holy Land's master must have changed hands. You are a sect conferred by the Great Zhao Holy Land. You are bound to the Great Zhao Holy Land for good or ill. I don't know who the new master is, but it is definitely not Jingting. Your ocean of merits comes from the Great Zhao Holy Land and cannot be independent. You can either remain loyal to the Great Jiao Holy Land or join my Great Shun. I will report this to the Emperor and give you enough attention. Ha ha ha. What a joke. The Great Shun Dynasty? What is the Great Shun Dynasty? You want us to submit? A small dynasty is only equivalent to a lesser sect. We are a middle sect. One of them said disdainfully. Lesser? Do you think it is difficult for my Great Shun Dynasty to advance to the middle sect? Jin Dayu laughed. Heh. Everyone raised their eyebrows. I believe you can feel it from your ocean of merits. Your former sect master's upper void stage Dharma idol has disappeared. Jin Dayu said with a smile. Everyone frowned and looked at Jin Dayu. He shouldn't be in this world. He ascended with Jingting. As for your sect, the strongest is only at the middle void realm. In the East Divine Continent, your sect is already at the bottom of the middle level sects. Moreover, your ocean of merits is not up to you. It was conferred by the Great Jiao, and the Great Jiao can take it back at any time. What is the point of you sticking to it? Jin Dayu said with a smile. Bastard. We don't need you to interfere in our... A cultivator immediately shouted. Junior brother, shut up. Another cultivator in purple robes shouted. Jin Dayu smiled and said, You don't know about the Great Shun Dynasty, but you should know about me. As he spoke, Jin Dayu's aura suddenly burst out. Upper void stage. Everyone's expression changed. In the Great Shun Dynasty, I am only a subordinate. Do you still think the Great Shun Dynasty is weak? Jin Dayu laughed. Everyone's expression changed. In the past, the undying sacred ground was destroyed, and the Dazhao sacred ground rose. Today, the Dazhao sacred ground is nearing its end. Everyone, it's time for you to decide your life. Jin Dayu took a deep breath and said. Decide one's life again? Everyone raised their eyebrows. The leader of the purple-robed cultivators looked at Jin Dayu and said, If I use the sect's power of merit, you might not be able to defeat me. Jin Dayu smiled faintly and did not refute. Do you know why I'm telling you all this? Jin Dayu asked with a solemn expression. Out of the 5 major vassal sects of the Dazhao Holy Land, the Lanyu sect was destroyed by King Gari Yu. There are still 4 major vassal sects left. I, Dazhao, will definitely obtain the merits of these 4 major vassal sect. Jin Dayu said after taking a deep breath. What? Everyone's expression changed. What arrogance! The purple-robed cultivator said in a deep voice. Tone. It won't be long before you learn the truth. As for why I'm wasting my breath on you, it's because your sect is about to approach my Great Shun. I'm willing to accept everything you have, so I didn't kill you, said Jin Dayu. Approach. Ha ha ha. The Great Shun Dynasty and my sect are separated by a middle-rank sect. How can we be neighbors? A cultivator immediately said in disdain. However, that purple-robed cultivator's expression changed. Junior brother, shut up. Chapter 9:13. Everyone looked at the purple-robed cultivator. At the same time, they suddenly thought of something. Great Shun was going to destroy those sects as well. The purple-robed cultivator looked at Jin Dayu, and his gaze changed. Even if you destroy our 4 major sects, our merits will only flow back to the Great Jiao Holy Land. You won't get them. No, there's one possibility. Jin Dayu laughed. You even want to invade the Great Jiao Holy Land? The purple-robed cultivator immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. Jin Dayu didn't explain anymore because everything was enough. Jin Dayu took a deep breath and said, I'm only here to inform you and give you some time to consider. After the other 3 major vassal sects are destroyed, I'll come to ask you again. At that time, if you still don't agree, I'll take action. You. A cultivator's expression changed. Jin Dayu flew into the sky. After flying for a while, he turned his head and said, I hope you all can decide as soon as possible because the sooner you decide, the more you can contribute to Great Shun during this period. The more you can obtain, the more power Great Shun will have. Finished speaking, Jin Dayu turned into a stream of light and disappeared in an instant. Bastard, come on. A disciple shouted angrily. Junior brother, shut up. The purple-robed cultivator immediately frowned. Everyone looked at the purple-robed cultivator. Senior brother? The purple-robed cultivator took a deep breath and said, I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. I could guess that the Holy Lord would ascend, but the first to rise in the East Divine Continent is actually the Great Shan dynasty. This is too inconceivable. Senior brother, do you think what he said is true? Everyone was shocked. The purple-robed cultivator nodded and said, the upper void realm is a subject, and I know that the tiger race has already submitted to Great Shan. Also, not long ago, Yang Chuan even captured true Lord Lan Yu. The Great Shan dynasty's power and ambition are too great. But can Great Shan really become the strongest in the East Divine Continent? After all, the Great Zhao Holy Land still exists. Someone asked. It still exists, but without the Holy Lord, is the Great Zhao Holy Land still the #1 sect in the world? We are different from the other middle-rank sects. No matter how chaotic the world is, the other middle-rank sects can protect themselves because their merit cloud sea is their own, but my merit cloud sea doesn't belong to us. The purple-robed cultivator said. Everyone was silent. Senior brother, what should we do now? The few of you immediately dispersed to the other 3 vassal sects, as well as the middle sects between us and the Great Shan dynasty. See if the Great Shan dynasty has really sent out their troops. Go quickly. The purple-robed cultivator immediately ordered. Yes. The group of experts immediately flew over. After making arrangements for everyone, the purple-robed cultivator looked up at the sky and sighed. Julu Academy, Radiant World's entrance. Meng Lingtian brought Meng Rongrong and Dongfang Zhengpai to look at the countless rays of light in the sky. Meng Lingtian took a small step forward with uncertainty. Old Meng, do you want to die? Dongfang Zhengpai exclaimed. Teacher, you can't go out. You're already an immortal. Once you go out, you'll be suppressed by this sealed world. Endless heavenly thunder will descend. You won't be able to withstand it, Meng Rongrong said. Meng Lingtian ignored him and stepped forward with a trace of suspicion. Who? Meng Lingtian stood outside the light world. He looked up at the sky. After waiting for a while, not a single bolt of lightning appeared in the sky. It's gone. The confinement of heaven and earth is gone. What exactly happened? This world doesn't reject us immortals anymore. Meng Lingtian muttered to himself. Chapter 9:14. Dazhao Sacred Ground. The light in the sky gradually disappeared. Gradually, the tear on his body began to heal. The sky became clear again. A gentle breeze blew past as if nothing had happened. However, the main character of this place, the master of the Dazhao Sacred Ground, along with the top forces of the Dazhao Sacred Ground, had almost all left. Looking at the place where Mo Yushi disappeared, Yang Chuan felt lost. Wu Clan's main hall plaza, Mohina Jin only dared to open the Tiance that Jingting left behind. Once the Tiance was opened, a golden light shot towards Mohina Jin. Rumble. In the sky, endless merits rolled, as if the new master of the Dazhao Sacred Ground was changing. Tens of millions of cultivators of the Dazhao Sacred Ground stood in all directions. Greetings, Sacred Lord. Millions of cultivators congratulated Mohina Jin. Of course, there were also millions of cultivators who didn't bow. Although Mohina Jin was also in the upper emptiness realm and was also an expert, in the eyes of these people, he was far inferior to Jingting. Some people were not convinced by Mohina Jin. Father, congratulations on taking control of the Dazhao Sacred Ground. Yang Jigu immediately ran to the front and said excitedly. Although it was a pity that he couldn't ascend with Jingting, he was still the young master of the Sacred Ground. Moreover, with how much his father doted on him, he was definitely above everyone else in the Sacred Ground. Mohina Jin looked at the millions of experts bowing in front of him and revealed a satisfied expression. However, at this moment, a green light flew over. It was Yarrow Tianshang. He led 20 subordinates and flew in front of Mohina Jin. Yarrow Tianshang was the first to jump out. He immediately attracted the attention of everyone. North Divine Continent, Yarrow Tianshang. Mohina Jin's face darkened. Yarrow Tianshang smiled and said, Congratulations, Mohina Jin, for taking control of the Dazhao Sacred Ground. What do you want? Mohina Jin asked. Just as Mohina Jin finished speaking, 10 of the 16 Middle Void Realm experts who were unwilling to ascend with him suddenly turned around and bowed towards Yarou Tianshang. "Greetings, Master," the 10 of them said respectfully. "Master." Countless cultivators in the surroundings immediately revealed surprised expressions. "What are you doing? You want to betray my great Zhao Holy Land?" Yang Jigu immediately exclaimed. Yarou Tianshang smiled faintly and said, "These 10 are originally part of the Demon Clan. Although they have joined the Dazhao Holy Ground, they are still part of the Demon Clan. I am here to take away these Demon Clan members who are willing to follow me. Mohina Jin, you won't stop me, right?" "Huh." Mohina Jin's face darkened. Almost all the Middle Void Realm martial artists in the Great Revelation Sacred Ground had been taken away by Jing Ting. There were only 16 Middle Void Realm martial artists, and Yarou Tianshang was going to take away 10 of them at once. "What if I don't?" Mohina Jin said coldly. Yarou Tianshang and Mohina Jin immediately started to fight. Yarou Tianshang's aura had also reached the upper void realm. Neither of them was going to give way to the other. On the other side, Yang Chuan watched as Mo Yushi disappeared and felt a sense of loss. At this moment, Yang Chuan was in a very bad mood. He wasn't even interested in watching the fight between Mohina Jin and Yarou Tianshang. This was because the news here would soon be delivered to him by the Great Shen East factory. "Let's go, Bai Ditien," Yang Chuan said. "Yes." Bai Ditien nodded. This time, Jing Ting's strength had dealt a huge blow to Bai Ditien. Just as the two of them were about to leave, a voice that targeted them suddenly sounded. "Yang Chuan? You want to leave now? Isn't it a little too late?" A soft voice sounded. Chapter 9:15. Roar. With a dragon's roar, more than 100 figures soared into the sky. All of them were dressed in dragon robes and riding dragon horses. They stood in front of Yang Chuan with imposing auras. A huge aura surged over. Bai Ditien's expression changed as he immediately responded with his aura. "Protect Yang Chuan." There were more than 100 people, but the dragon horse of the leader was twice the size of the others. His face was dignified, and his eyes were sharp as he stared coldly at Yang Chuan. Yang Chuan was not afraid at all as he replied coldly. At the same time, he recognized the leader at a glance. The leader was Yang Chuan, who had seen the painting countless times. "Kong Moku?" Yang Chuan's eyes were cold. A ferocious glint flashed across Yang Chuan's eyes. Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku's eyes were cold, and it was as if thousands of long knives were about to shoot out and kill Yang Chuan. Kong Susu's vile spawn. No one would have thought that in just a few decades, he would have such achievement. Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku said coldly. "Vile spawn? One day, the vile spawn you speak of will wring your head off. In honor of my parents' souls in heaven." Yang Chuan sneered. "Ha ha ha ha, one day? Will there be? After today, the vile spawn will no longer exist in this world." Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku sneered. Bai Ditien, who was standing at the side, frowned deeply. "Upper void realm?" Bai Ditien's expression darkened. It was not that Bai Ditien was afraid of the upper void realm, but there were too many of them. Yang Chuan estimated with his eyes, 20 upper void stage martial artists. "Heh, it seems like the Kong family has given you quite a bit of help this time." Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku's expression turned cold. Yang Chuan had actually seen through the group of people he had brought with him at a glance. This made Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku extremely angry. However, Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku quickly calmed down. He saw through them. So what if he saw through them? This is the paragon of the tiger race, Bai Ditien. Heaven's son of heaven Mo Ku said solemnly. Bai Ditien narrowed his eyes at son of heaven Mo Ku. The Great Shen Empire is about to change hands. Bai Ditien, I will give you a chance. Submit to me now, and my great Buddha Empire will accept the tiger tribe. Otherwise, you will be buried here with Yang Chuan. Emperor Mo Ku looked at Bai Ditien. As Heavenly Son Mo Ku spoke, the 100 people behind him adjusted their surging battle hunger and pressed towards Yang Chuan and Bai Ditien. Bai Ditien did not say anything. "Ha ha ha ha, Kong Mok, you really think highly of yourself. Yang Chuan sneered. Today, I have seen the murderer of my father. I can't kill him with my own hands now, but Kong Mok, remember my words. The revenge of my parents is absolutely irreconcilable. I will kill you. Moreover, I will execute you in front of everyone. Yang Chuan shouted coldly. Ha 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 ha, do you have a chance? Emperor Moku sneered. As Emperor Moku spoke, he waved his hand, and 3 experts stepped out on their horses. All of them had long sabers hanging from their waists. Before they arrived, a wave of murderous intent pressed over. Yang Chuan smiled coldly and stretched out his hand. Roar. Suddenly, a heaven-shaking dragon roar came from the foot of Dark Phoenix Mountain. Rumble. Suddenly, countless cracks appeared on Dark Phoenix Mountain. Boundless black aura came out of the cracks. The black aura was extremely ferocious, and all the vegetation that it passed withered. A ferocious and evil aura surged out. This is. Countless cultivators in the surroundings looked over in shock. Even Yarrow Tianshang and Dao Lord Black Sun, who were in the midst of their battle, turned to look at him. Chapter 9:16. The Dark Phoenix Mountain shattered, and a black aura soared into the sky. What was going on? Boom. The Dark Phoenix Mountain suddenly exploded. Black fog immediately soared into the sky, and a black dragon head that was hundreds of meters long slowly emerged from the black fog. The moment the black dragon head appeared, a terrifying aura spread out. On the dragon head were Yang Chuan, Bai Ditian, and 50 black-robed figures. The one in the lead was Feng Yinyang. When the dragon head appeared, everyone saw that it was actually a blind dragon. It was a blind dragon head. The dragon body slowly swayed out. It was lifeless, but its power soared into the sky. The moment the black dragon appeared, it let out another dragon roar. Roar. The dragon's roar was so loud that it caused a strong wind to blow around the entire Dazhao sacred ground. The 3 upper void realm experts who had stepped out earlier were forced back by the aura of the blind dragon. Smack. He swung his dragon tail towards Prince Moku. The 5 upper void realm experts' expressions changed as they rushed out. Boom. The 5 upper void realm experts attacked at the same time, and the sound shook the 9 heavens. The dragon tail knocked back, and the 5 upper void realm experts also retreated by 10 meters. The power of the dragon tail was so strong. Roar. The blind dragon let out a long roar and soared into the sky, carrying Yang Chuan and flying away in an instant. On the dragon head far away, Yang Chuan shouted, Kong Mok? You want to kill me? I'll be waiting for you in Yangjing. I'll be waiting for you at any time. Roar. The blind dragon swung its tail and instantly headed south. Kong Mok watched Yang Chuan leave with a gloomy expression. Your Majesty, that black dragon should be a type of feng shui dragon vein. However, I can't figure out how to make it so powerful. A person next to him was deep in thought. Your Majesty, are we letting them go just like that? Another person said unhappily. Kong Mok's expression was gloomy as he watched Yang Chuan and the others leave. He did not stop them. HMPH, Yang Chuan? He's just a clown. When I'm done with my matters, I'll go and capture Yang Chuan, Kong Mok said coldly. Yes. Everyone replied. Since Jing Ting has left, only Mohina Jin is left in the Great Jiao Holy Grounds. Later, follow me to subdue Maro Ri and Yarrow Tianshang. I want the Great Jiao Holy Grounds to submit to the Great Buddha Imperial Dynasty. Kong Mok shouted. Yes. Everyone answered. Following which, they followed Kong Mok and looked towards the Wu clan main hall in the distance. In the Dazhao Holy Ground, there were only Mohina Jin, an upper ethereal stage and 6 middle ethereal stage cultivators left. The rest were weak lower ethereal stage cultivators. Although Kong Mok only brought 100 people with him this time, there were more than 20 upper ethereal stage cultivators. Kong Mok was determined to obtain the Great Jiao Holy Ground. Yang Chuan and his group stepped on the blind dragon and headed towards the south. Feng Yinyang led a group of feng shui masters and said respectfully to Yang Chuan, Emperor, when you let us enter the netherworld, I set up my branch's Black Dragon Fantasy World formation. Originally, it was almost done. When Jing Ting failed, We could send 100 black dragons into the world of the living to assist Emperor in destroying or subduing the Great Jiao Holy Grounds. Unfortunately, the netherworld was destroyed and all of our arrangements were destroyed. Only this black dragon is left. Furthermore, with its connection to the netherworld broken, this black dragon won't be able to hold on for long. Perhaps in 2 to 4 hours, it will collapse. Yang Chuan nodded. This is not your fault. The Great Jiao Holy Grounds is not over yet. Yes. Furthermore, from the looks of it, Kong Mok brought 20 upper ethereal stage cultivators and obviously wants to subdue the Great Jiao Holy Grounds. Hehe, it won't be that easy. 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus? Originally, I didn't think much of it. I didn't expect Jing Ting to place such importance on the 10,000 Wonders Demonic Lotus. Kong Mok. Heh, I wonder what the result of their trip will be. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and said, yes. Feng Yinyang nodded. The news here will be sent back to Yang Jing soon. Now, we need to return to Yang Jing as soon as possible. After this battle, the Great Jiao Holy Grounds will definitely reach the peak and become an emperor dynasty. Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. Chapter 9:17. Dajiao Holy Land. The moment the experts brought by Son of Heaven Moku released their auras, the entire place exploded. 20 upper Void Realm experts and 80 peak Middle Void Realm experts. They were all extremely strong people. The experts of the various sects watching the battle were all astonished. Everyone knew that when Jing Jun ascended, there would be a great reshuffle in the world. However, no one expected it to happen so quickly. When Son of Heaven Moku and the others released their auras, the powerful pressure made the countless cultivators of the Dajiao Holy Land unable to resist. The pressure of an upper Void Realm expert was not something ordinary people could withstand. Although the Dajiao Holy Land had close to 10 million cultivators, only about 5,000 lower Void Realm experts could withstand the pressure of 20 upper Void Realm experts. 5,000. It seemed like a huge group. However, could these people fight against 20 upper Void Realm experts? 16 middle Void Stage experts were facing 80 peak middle Void Stage experts. Son of Heaven Moku did not move. The 80 middle Void Realm experts blocked everyone. 4 upper Void Realm experts against Yao Tianshang alone. Boom. The 4 upper Void Realm experts chopped down with their sabers from 4 different directions, slashing towards Yao Tianshang. Boom. Yao Tianshang held his saber and soared into the sky, blocking the 4 experts with difficulty. The 5 experts were in a stalemate. Bam! 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 The sharp saber energy left many bloody wounds on Yao Tianshang's body. Yao Tianshang could not move aside. Once he did, the 4 sabers would definitely kill him on the spot. Yao Tianshang, submit to me. Son of Heaven Moku led the 16 upper Void Realm experts and looked coldly at Yao Tianshang. Cough. Cough. Yao Tianshang coughed out a trace of blood, his eyes cold. Submit to me. Son of Heaven Moku's aura pressed down again. Ha 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 ha. Vomit. Yao Tianshang spat out a mouthful of blood and laughed evilly. I will give you one last chance. Submit to me. Son of Heaven Moku said coldly. In the square of the Wu clan's main hall, Son of Heaven Moku suppressed everyone. What are you waiting for in your previous life? Yao Tianshang said coldly. Previous life? Son of Heaven Moku frowned slightly. Countless cultivators around them showed curious expressions and looked at Yao Tianshang in confusion. As soon as Yao Tianshang finished speaking, he added another sentence. Don't resist. Let me take control of this life's body. Yao Tianshang said again. The surrounding experts. Take it. Yao Tianshang smiled in a carefree manner. Boom boom boom. Rays of white jade light suddenly appeared around Yao Tianshang. As soon as the light appeared, the space around Yao Tianshang started to tremble. Rumble. Yao Tianshang's saber turned pure white in an instant as it shot toward the sky. Yao Tianshang's eyes also shone with a gentle white jade light. Gradually, the ferocious look in Yao Tianshang's eyes disappeared. It was replaced by a look of condescension and disdain. It was a look of superiority, a look of absolute dominance. This look. Not far away, In front of the Wu clan's main hall, Mohina Jin's expression changed. "What's wrong with your eyes?" Yang Jigu looked at his father in confusion. Sacred Master Jingying's eyes have this kind of aura. This is the gaze of a peerless expert. Mohina Jin's expression changed. Apart from Mohina Jin, many others could see it. Son of Heaven Mo Ku's expression darkened. He showed a hint of surprise. At the same time, he instinctively felt that something was wrong. He's not Yarou Tianshang anymore. Quick, kill him. Quick. Son of Heaven Mo Ku shouted. Chapter 9:18. Yes. The 4 upper void realm cultivators who were suppressing Yarou Tianshang shouted at the same time. Ha. 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 The 4 shouted at the same time. The astral sabers in their hands suddenly doubled in size. Astral saber energies shot out in all directions toward Yarou Tianshang. Die. The 4 upper void realm cultivators shouted at the same time. Yarou Tianshang's demonic energy did not change in the storm of astral saber energies. However, the saber he swung seemed unstoppable for some reason. Roar. Yarou Tianshang roared. Suddenly, a golden saber light flashed in the storm of astral saber energies. Boom. The entire storm of astral saber energies exploded. The boundless astral saber energies instantly collapsed. The golden saber light instantly slashed through the bodies of the 4 upper void realm cultivators. Boom. A bloody mist exploded in the air. The 4 upper void realm cultivators were instantly killed by one saber strike. Rumble. The ground trembled. However, the cultivators in the surroundings remained silent. One saber strike. 4 upper void realm cultivators? Even Emperor Mo Ku's mouth was agape. How could Yarou Tianshang become so strong in an instant? The ground gradually calmed down. Yarou Tianshang's figure appeared in the storm of astral saber energies again. Master. Spider King and the other 30 middle void realm cultivators ran over excitedly. At this moment, no one stopped these middle void realm cultivators. Yarou Tianshang's shocking saber strike had already explained everything. Yarou Tianshang, who was glowing with a faint white light, looked at the crowd. Finally, he looked at Emperor Mo Ku. "You are not Yarou Tianshang. Who are you?" Emperor Mo Ku asked coldly. His gaze shifted from Emperor Mo Ku to Mohina Jin. Then, he looked at the surroundings. "Spider King, let's go." Yarou Tianshang shouted. "Yes," the great beasts answered. Aside from the 30 middle void realm cultivators, the Dazhao sacred ground had close to 300 lower void realm great beasts. They flew into the sky with Yarou Tianshang. Yarou Tianshang did not look for trouble with Emperor Mo Ku. Instead, he prepared to leave with all the great beasts. Although that saber strike had humiliated Emperor Mo Ku, it also proved Yarou Tianshang's strength. No one dared to stop Yarou Tianshang. Yarou Tianshang mentioned his past life. "Are you Yarou Tianshang's past life? Who are you?" Emperor Mo Ku asked again. Emperor Mo Ku acknowledged Yarou Tianshang's strength, but he wasn't necessarily afraid of him. It was just that he didn't want both sides to suffer losses at this moment and lose his plan. Yarou Tianshang flew up with the demons and turned to look at Emperor Mo Ku. "Remember, my name is Ju." As he spoke, Yarou Tianshang led everyone and flew towards the north. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from everyone's sight. He left the great Zhao Holy Land. The white light in Yarou Tianshang's eyes dimmed slightly. In the blink of an eye, Yarou Tianshang's expression returned to normal. "In order to prevent this life's flesh body from relying on the previous life's me, I can't stay in this state for long," Zhu said in a deep voice. "Now I believe that you don't want to devour me." Yarou Tianshang nodded. "After I return, I will pass on all the memories of my previous life to you. At the same time, I have finally deduced a human body. It is time for me to split myself," Zhu said in a deep voice. "Yes." Yarou Tianshang nodded. Dazhao sacred ground. Emperor Mo Ku, Mohina Jin, and the others watched as Yarou Tianshang and the others left. Their expressions were extremely gloomy. "Zhu." Emperor Mo Ku frowned and pondered. Mohina Jin also frowned and pondered. This name didn't sound familiar. "Zhu." Suddenly, Emperor Mo Ku's expression changed and his pupils shrank. Chapter 919. Who was Ju? On the other side, Mohina Jin's expression changed as well. He finally remembered. Ju. 30,000 years ago, he suppressed all the heroes of the world as a fiend. 30,000 years ago, he was the strongest person in the world. Mohina Jin immediately sucked in a sharp breath. Mohina Jin was not the only one who reacted. Many cultivators also gradually reacted. Ju. An unparalleled existence had indeed appeared in this world. However, it was too long ago. 30,000 years had passed, so many people did not think much about it. However, now that they thought about it, it was definitely not wrong. Killing 4 upper illusory realm cultivators with 1 saber strike? The strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago? Heavenly Sun Mo Ku said through gritted teeth. The countless cultivators in the surroundings gaped in shock. The strongest person in the world just ascended. How did another strongest person appear? The strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago? When Jing Ming ascended, everyone understood that this world was about to undergo a huge reshuffle. However, Ju's appearance made everyone understand that this reshuffle would be even more intense and grand than they imagined. Of course, people still did not know that this was not as simple as a reshuffle. After this great change, even immortals would appear in this resplendent land. The strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago? So what? This is no longer 30,000 years ago. Jing Ming ascended. The new strongest person in the world will definitely be this emperor, Kong Mok. Heavenly Sun Mo Ku said ferociously. After speaking, Heavenly Sun Mo Ku turned to look at Mohina Jin. Mohina Jin, now that Yarou Tianshang is gone, lead the great Zhao Holy Land and submit to my great Buddha imperial dynasty. Heavenly Sun Mo Ku shouted. Mohina Jin smiled coldly and said, Kong Mok, you have to understand that this is the East Divine Continent, the great Zhao Holy Land. It is not a place for you to behave atrociously. Humph. Is that so? Heavenly Sun Mo Ku said with a sullen expression. The 16 upper illusory realm cultivators behind Heavenly Sun Mo Ku released their auras and pressed down on Mohina Jin. Dad, Pu. Yang Jigu was pressed down and immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Mohina Jin's face darkened. He waved his hand and shielded Yang Jigu behind him. Mohina Jin grabbed a black lotus in his hand. Great Buddha Imperial Dynasty? So what? Mohina Jin's eyes turned cold. Who? The black lotus instantly merged with Mohina Jin's body. In an instant, a monstrous evil aura gushed out from Mohina Jin's body. As soon as the evil aura appeared, it immediately collided with the aura of the 16 upper void realm martial artists. Boom! In the square of the Wu clan's main hall, the collision created a huge storm. 2 months later. Great Shan Dynasty, Yangjing. Inside an official's house. One of the eunuchs smiled at the official and said, Lord Zhong, today is the court assembly. Please enter the court quickly. His Majesty is back. The official was puzzled. The eunuchs didn't say anything. Instead, he smiled and said, the court assembly starts at 7 a.m. Lord Zhong, don't be late. After saying that, the eunuchs immediately left and went to the next official's house. On this day, countless officials in Yangjing received the notice of the court assembly and all of them headed to the Chaotian Palace. Imperial Palace. In a large hall. Liu Jin and Liu Gang stood respectfully in front of ZZ. Empress, it has begun. Marquis Yang has called for the court assembly today. All the officials have received the notice. It seems that we have to wait for today to act. Liu Jin said with a gloomy expression. Liu Gang also nodded and said, Empress, today a Baihu from the East faction reported that Yang Qiuyu has already tried on the dragon robe in the residence. Try on the dragon robe? Humph. ZZ's eyes turned cold. Chapter 920. Great Shan Dynasty, Yang Capital, Imperial Palace, Chaotian Palace Square. There had not been a court assembly for more than a decade. Of course, Yi Feng had helped Yang Chuan with some government affairs, so many officials had come to the Skyward Palace Square before. However, this was the first time so many officials had gathered. His Majesty is back. The officials who had arrived early all revealed puzzled expressions. Most of the officials had seen Yang Chuan before. After seeing the current Great Shan dynasty, everyone understood how great Yang Chuan was. Mortal empires were not on the same level as the current imperial empires. In fact, the officials here could destroy a dynasty of the past with their individual strength. Although they had not seen Yang Chuan for more than 10 years, the officials were still full of respect for Yang Chuan. As the officials waited, they suddenly discovered that on this day, nearly 100 members of the Yang clan had arrived at the Palace of Heaven. The Yang clan. Yang Chuan had given these people titles of nobility, but no official positions. However, Yang Chuan had never rejected these people. As long as they had the ability, they could participate in the normal assessment system of the Great Shan Empire and perform normal meritorious deeds, and they would be able to enter the imperial court. Logically speaking, the Yang clan was the happiest group of people in Da. They didn't have to do anything and enjoyed the noble titles that others had worked so hard to earn. Of course, none of the officials were jealous. At most, they were envious. After all, Yang Chuan's surname was Yang. The members of the Yang clan were also at a loss. There were shriveled old men and children who were just learning to walk. All of them had been summoned to the square of Skyward Hall. What are you doing? The Yang clan relatives were filled with curiosity. Yang Qiuyu's children were also at a loss. Yang Qiuyu had never told anyone about her rebellion. 7 in the morning. In front of heaven-facing hall, a large number of soldiers suddenly poured in from a large door. The soldiers all held weapons in their hands as they protected Yang Qiuyu and the group of black-robed men. Yang Qiuyu wore a flat imperial crown on her head and a set of golden-blue dragon robes. Step by step, she walked over in an extremely solemn manner. The officials and Yang clan members all turned their heads to look. Marquis Yang? Yang Qiuyu, you, how dare you? A straightforward official immediately exclaimed. Traitor, how dare you wear the imperial robe? Another official exclaimed. The civil and military officials immediately burst into an uproar. Many of the eunuchs who were waiting around also revealed looks of panic. Even the members of the Yang clan were at a loss. Marquis Yang? Yang Qiuyu? Why was he wearing a dragon robe? Father, what happened to you? One of Yang Qiuyu's daughters cried out in alarm. A large number of soldiers rushed in, wielding sabers in their hands as they charged at the officials. Wherever they pointed their sabers, the officials were forced to retreat. Yang Qiuyu walked over step by step. 20 black-clothed men followed behind him, their expressions extremely solemn. How dare you, Yang Qiuyu? Are you trying to rebel? An official shouted angrily. Boom. The official was punched to the ground by a soldier. Yang Qiuyu coldly glanced around. Great Shan dynasty, Yang Chuan is tyrannical. He established the country but did not manage it. He disregarded the lives of the people of Great Shan dynasty. He is a tyrannical and incapable ruler who does not deserve to enjoy the world. Yang Qiuyu said in a low voice. How dare you? Bastard. Curses rang out. However, there were also some officials who agreed. Marquis Yang is right. Yang Chuan is incapable. He disregarded the lives of the people and caused them to suffer. Marquis Yang, on behalf of the people, we implore Marquis Yang to take charge of the situation. A treacherous official immediately shouted. Chapter 921. Marquis Yang, please ascend to the throne. Marquis Yang, please take charge of Zhen. Emperor Emeritus, please reclaim the throne. For a moment, the officials who had rebelled against Marquis Yang began to clamor. The Great Shan dynasty's officials followed the 4 generals to different battlefields. The officials who stayed behind weren't officials, but officials who were capable of handling government affairs. They weren't mediocre officials, but they weren't incompetent either. The officials were immediately divided into 2 factions, and they even started fighting. Father, I support you. One of Yang Qiuyu's sons shouted happily. Many of the Yang clan's relatives had complicated expressions on their faces. Yang Qiuyu's bloodline was closer to theirs, but many of them were loyal to Yang Chuan after seeing how powerful Great Shan was. Why would they rebel now? Traitor. An elder of the Yang clan scolded. 8th uncle, you used to be an important official of Great Yang. How can you call my father a traitor? Do you know how much my father values you? Once Great Yang restores, my father will definitely put you in an important position. Yang Qiuyu's son shouted. Get lost. The elder of the Yang clan scolded. The square of Chaotian Hall was in chaos. At this moment, an old eunuch walked out. Everyone, Yang Emperor is now in charge of all places in Yang capital, including the Qianhu of the East faction. Yang Emperor is now a lower void realm expert. I'm sure you all know that Yang Chuan is only in the immortal state. How can an immortal state Yang Chuan compare to Yang Emperor? Great Zhen was originally expanded from Great Yang. Yang Emperor's return to power is in accordance with the will of heaven, the old eunuch shouted. After the old eunuch finished speaking, he opened the jade box in his hand, revealing an imperial seal. Today, Emperor Yang ascends to the throne once again, and all the officials pay their respects. Tomorrow, Emperor Yang announces to the world that everyone will celebrate and honor the new emperor's ascension to the throne. The old eunuch held up the imperial seal and shouted, "Long live His Majesty! Long live His Majesty!" Immediately, 1/3 of the officials knelt down and shouted, "Long live the emperor!" A third of the members of the Yang clan also knelt down. "Long live the mountain!" However, the others continued to curse, "Rebel, the emperor will definitely not forgive you. Rebels and traitors, once the emperor's army arrives, none of you will survive." While the officials were cursing, the soldiers that Yang Qiuyu had brought with her immediately stepped forward and started fighting. Boom! 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 A group of officials fell to the ground with heavy injuries. "Chimph, Yang Chuan, you brat, how capable are you?" Yang Qiuyu took a step forward and said, "Yang Qiuyu is now in my control, and there are 20 important people in the cities who used to be Great Yang's officials." Today, Yang Qiuyu took a step forward and said, "Everyone, pay your respects to the new emperor now. The new emperor will definitely put you in an important position. Otherwise, our blades will not show any mercy," the old eunuch shouted. Sheeing. The soldiers raised their long sabers and pointed them at the civil officials. Bah! Yang Qiuyu, Great Shen's system has been perfected. Great Shen only has one emperor. Do you think you can usurp the throne? Dream on. One of the officials shouted. The emperor is only sending out the army. If you rebel at this time, the emperor will definitely kill you. Another official shouted angrily. Kill. The old eunuch shouted angrily. Chapter 922. Sheeing. A few soldiers immediately attacked. However, they did not attack the officials who cursed Yang Qiuyu. Instead, they attacked the officials who were kneeling on the ground and bowing to Yang Qiuyu. Gululu. In the blink of an eye, 10 heads rolled on the ground. What? Yang Qiuyu's expression changed. How dare you, the old eunuch shouted. However, the 1,000 soldiers who came with Yang Qiuyu suddenly pointed their swords at Yang Qiuyu and the group of black-robed men. You, the old eunuch cried out. Quang. The doors of the skyward palace opened. The moment the doors of the palace opened, Zizi stepped out of the palace. Behind Zizi were Liu Gang, Liu Jin, and a group of soldiers armed with swords and sabers. Greetings to the Empress. Long live the Empress, the officials said respectfully. On the other hand, the traitorous officials widened their eyes and trembled. Yang Qiuyu, my husband sent a letter to give you a chance to repent. However, you still took this step, Zizi shouted coldly. Yang Chuan only has a father who cultivates. He has a better springboard to become an emperor. He is not as good as me. How can a cultivator who travels all day be fit to be an emperor? Moreover, is his cultivation as fast as mine? I have already reached the lower emptiness realm. He is not as good as me as an emperor. He is not as good as me in terms of cultivation. Don't worry. I will not kill him. After I ascend the throne, I will confer him the title of duke. He can still stay in Great Zhen. Yang Qiuyu said. Heh. You still refuse to realize your error? Zizi said coldly. Refuse to realize my error? This should be mine. Do you think these soldiers can do anything to me? Yang Qiuyu said coldly. Yang Qiuyu released her aura. Bang! Ah! The 1,000 soldiers were sent flying. In the blink of an eye, they were sent flying far away. The officials were also sent tumbling to the ground. Yang Qiuyu led the old eunuch and the group of black-robed men to stand in the center of the palace and face ZZ. ZZ snorted coldly. ZZ's aura burst out from her body. When ZZ arrived at Divine Sect's sacred grounds, the resources ZZ obtained were countless times more than Yang Qiuyu. Moreover, ZZ's physique was incomparably strange. Her cultivation had already reached the lower void realm. The moment the massive aura emerged, it immediately battered Yang Qiuyu's aura into disorder. A black-robed person stepped forward, blocking in front of Yang Qiuyu. "Little girl, you're quite capable," the black-robed man said coldly. ZZ took a step out of the hall. He walked over step by step. Middle void stage? Haha, in other sects, a middle void stage cultivator is an incredible existence. However, in our Grecian Empire, if you dare to cause trouble, even an upper void stage cultivator will have to lie down, ZZ said coldly. Upper void stage? My master was struck by a demonic art and died. It was you? The black-robed man said in shock. As soon as the black-robed man shouted, the other black-robed men also panicked and became alert. Not long ago, an upper void stage martial artist had died inexplicably, and this had already caused everyone to be terrified. ZZ did not waste any more words. With a wave of her hand, a beam of green light shot out from her sleeve. Ah! The moment the vine demon appeared, it suddenly split into billions of vines and pounced toward Yang Qiuyu and the black-robed men. Ah! The old eunuch from before immediately cried out in shock. Oh no! The black-robed men's expressions also changed. At this moment, Yang Qiuyu was the only one who remained calm. Boom! 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 The black-robed men immediately rushed into the sky and fled in fear. However, among the black-robed men, the upper void stage cultivator had already been killed by ZZ's Nailhead 7 Audiobook. The strongest among them was only a middle void stage cultivator. How could they be a match for the vine demon? Sounds of collisions could be heard in the sky. One by one, the black-robed men were entangled by the vine demon and imprisoned. North of Yangjing. Bai Detian led Yang Chuan, Feng Yinyang, and the others as they flew quickly. We'll reach Yangjing in 2 days. Bai Detian said after taking a deep breath. Millimeter. Yang Chuan nodded. Yang Chuan could sense the providence of Grecian Empire, so he naturally felt the subtle changes in the officials involved in the providence. Yang Qiuyu? She still rebelled after all. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and frowned slightly. Chapter 923. 5 days later. Grecian Dynasty, Yangjing, Heavenly Prison. 30 to 40 people were locked up in a huge prison. 20 of them were the black-robed men who helped Yang Qiuyu in her rebellion 5 days ago. The other 10 were Relic Buddha and the other experts. Relic Buddha, you've been captured as well? How is this possible? How is this possible? One of the black-robed men had his cultivation sealed. Relic Buddha looked at the black-robed man with a bitter expression. Where's your master? Relic Buddha asked. He's dead. He was killed by Yang Chuan's woman using sorcery. Master's death is unclear. The black-robed man said bitterly. Don't worry. His Majesty will definitely come and save us. His Majesty will definitely come, another black-robed man muttered to himself. Will he? Sigh. Relic Buddha's eyes flashed with despair. We've underestimated Yang Chuan. Kong Susu was so stunning back then. How could her son be weak? We shouldn't have. When Kong Susu died, we should have killed Yang Chuan. We shouldn't have. Relic Buddha said regretfully. Everyone was filled with regret. In the cell next door, there were also cries of fear. All the officials who were involved in this rebellion were locked up. After the investigation by the East faction, all the traitors were exposed and captured. All the officials were filled with regret. They were all caught in Jiaohu. However, they couldn't change the fact. There was another small cell next door. In that cell, Yang Qiuyu looked calm. She sat there quietly without a trace of despair or regret. Kwong. The door of the cell opened. Liu Gang led a group of East Faction factory guards into the prison. Lord Liu, we were wrong. Lord Liu, please give me a chance. Lord Liu, I'll give you all my assets. Please let me go. Lord Liu, I invited you to the banquet last year. Lord Liu, please let me go. Everyone was shouting for Liu Gang, but Liu Gang's expression was cold. He ignored them. Liu Gang walked to the front of Yang Choyu's prison. Open it. Liu Gang shouted. Yes. A few guards quickly opened Yang Choyu's prison. Yang Choyu, His Majesty has returned. Come with me to meet His Majesty, Liu Gang said. Yang Choyu stood up and nodded. Without saying anything, he followed Liu Gang out of the prison. He was escorted out of the prison by 4 guards. The traitorous officials in the prison were all terrified. His Majesty is back. His Majesty is back. Someone exclaimed. Wah, I'm a rank 6 official. I have a bright future ahead of me. Why would I want to rebel? Wah, an official cried. Yang Chuan's return signified that the dust of this matter had settled, the official's power was gone. At the same time, none of the traitorous officials did not regret it endlessly. But if regret was useful, what was the point of having laws? Yang Choyu was taken away. Yang Jing, Chaotian Palace. In the main hall, there were 2 rows of people. One row was made up of Diasian's courtiers, those who were loyal to Yang Chuan. The other row was made up of the Yang clan's relatives. Those who stood at the front looked calm because they supported Yang Chuan. At the back were Yang Choyu's children, who were trembling. Rebellion? Father rebelled. It would have been fine if he had succeeded, but he had failed. Moreover, Yang Chuan had returned. The officials and Yang clan's relatives stood respectfully. Chapter 924. To the north of Chaotian Hall, Yang Chuan sat on the dragon throne, dressed in a black dragon robe and wearing a black jade imperial crown. He held the armrest of the throne and calmly looked down at the officials. Liu Jin stood to the side, holding a horsetail whisk. The hall was filled with a deathly aura. Yang Choyu is here, a voice called out from outside the hall. Bring him in, Yang Chuan sternly said. In the great hall, almost all the officials and the Yang family clansmen tensed up as they quietly looked outside the great hall. It was Liu Gang who led them here. Liu Gang walked in the front while 4 factory guards escorted Yang Choyu behind him. Your Majesty, Yang Choyu is here. Liu Gang respectfully bowed. Following that, Liu Gang dismissed the guards and stood among the officials. At this moment, the 4 commanders were not present, so Liu Gang naturally stood at the first position on the left. Yang Chuan sat on the dragon throne while Yang Choyu stood in the middle of the hall. The 2 of them looked at each other. The hall was completely silent. Yang Choyu, we have treated you well. Yang Chuan took a deep breath. Yang Chuan had indeed treated Yang Choyu well. Marquis Yang. Although it was only a marquis, it was the highest noble title at the time of Great Shan's founding. Even the founding heroes like Yi Feng, Liu Gang, and Hu Guang were only marquises. It wasn't that Yang Chuan didn't want to set up dukes, but that Great Shan still had a long way to go. They could only be promoted when their merits were sufficient. However, marquis was a lifelong thing. The stronger Great Shan became, the harder it would be to fight for a marquis. Apart from the emperor and empress, Yang Choyu had the advantage of being a blood relative. Even so, Yang Choyu still wasn't satisfied. Back then, Yang Choyu had given up the throne in exchange for entering the cultivation world. Now that Yang Chuan had given it to him, Yang Choyu still betrayed him? Yang Chuan stared at Yang Choyu. Yang Choyu's emotions were extremely calm. Looking at Yang Chuan, Yang Choyu took a deep breath and smiled softly. I knew this day would come. Oh! The ministers of Great Shan looked at Yang Choyu in surprise. Looking at Yang Chuan on the dragon throne, Yang Choyu bitterly said, in the past, even as an emperor, there would be a day when I would die. That's why I'm afraid of death. In order to step onto the path of cultivation and live forever, I'm willing to give up everything. But when I stepped onto the path of cultivation, I realized that I wasn't pursuing longevity because I was afraid of death. It was because I was afraid of losing my authority. I was afraid of losing the authority that I possessed throughout the world. Yang Qiuyu spoke bitterly. The hall was silent as Yang Chuan stared fixedly at Yang Qiuyu. I lost the throne. At first, although I was unwilling, I also knew that everything was impossible. However, one day, a group of people suddenly came to my residence. They were willing to give me power and help me. Moreover, my strength really increased. In my heart, I believed that I could replace you and rule the world for tens of thousands of years. Yang Qiuyu said bitterly. I knew that I would fail, but I still wanted to try. Even if my body was crushed, I still wanted to try. My ambition made me throw caution to the wind. Yang Qiuyu's face suddenly twisted. The officials in the hall glared at Yang Qiuyu. However, Yang Chuan just watched quietly. Ha ha. In the end, I failed. You, Yang Chuan, are indeed stronger than me. Yang Qiuyu suddenly laughed bleakly. You thought you would fail? Did you think about the consequences of failure? Yang Chuan asked in a low voice. Yang Qiuyu looked at Yang Chuan. Chapter 925. The officials I hired for this rebellion are all ambitious. There's no need to hesitate. Kill them all. Although I used them for this rebellion, if I succeed, I definitely won't put them in important positions. Their crimes are unforgivable. Yang Qiuyu's expression was cold. I knew I would fail, so I didn't tell anyone in the Yang clan, including my children. I didn't let them know. It was all my own doing. Yang Qiuyu said again. The 100 Yang clan members looked at Yang Qiuyu with complicated expressions. Father. Yang Qiuyu's children cried and knelt down. Yang Qiuyu looked at her children with kindness in her eyes. He turned to look at Yang Chuan again and took out a letter from his bosom. It was sealed with wax. To my son, Wudi. I have one last request, Your Majesty. Yang Qiuyu said solemnly. Speak. Yang Chuan said in a low voice. This is my will to my son, Yang Wudi. When Wudi returns, I beg Your Majesty to give it to him. Yang Qiuyu said solemnly. Yang Qiuyu's eyes moistened as she read the letter, as if it was her last hope. Liu Jin went to take the letter. Yang Qiuyu looked at Liu Jin and didn't say anything else. Instead, she said bitterly. Yang Qiuyu deserves death for seizing the throne. Your Majesty, please punish me. Yang Qiuyu bowed respectfully. Yang Qiuyu's children came forward on their knees after she finished speaking. Your Majesty, please spare my father's life. We are willing to accept the punishment on his behalf. Your Majesty, please spare my father's life for the sake of us being blood relatives. Yang Qiuyu's children cried and pleaded. Some of the Yang clan members looked at them with pity. Your Majesty, Yang Qiuyu is guilty, but Yang Qiuyu has also helped Your Majesty uncover the black sheep of Darjan. Please spare her life and banish her from Darjan. A Yang clan member pleaded. Your Majesty, after all, Yang Qiuyu. Another member of the Yang clan pitied her. At this time, Liu Gang suddenly stepped forward. Reporting to Your Majesty, Yang Qiuyu attempted to usurp the throne. Her crime is unpardonable and should be executed. Liu Gang shouted. Yang Qiuyu should be executed. A group of courtiers shouted. Your Majesty, Yang Qiuyu is still your blood relative. Another Yang clan relative pleaded. Your Majesty, you can cripple Yang Qiuyu's cultivation and expel him from Great Shun. I beg Your Majesty to be lenient. Another Yang clan relative knelt down. Several Yang clan relatives knelt down. Liu Gang's eyes turned cold as he spoke again in a clear voice. Your Majesty, Yang Qiuyu's crimes are unpardonable and the law is merciless. She must be executed for plotting to usurp the throne. Otherwise, what is the use of Asian's laws? How was he going to intimidate the world in the future? Moreover, the Yang clan clansmen who supported Yang Qiuyu that day are also guilty and must be punished. Your Majesty, please execute Yang Qiuyu and show us the proper punishment. The courtiers shouted in unison. The leaders of the Yang clan clansmen took a deep breath. Your Majesty, regardless of the family law or national law, Yang Qiuyu should be executed for his crimes. A Yang clan elder shouted. The courtiers all looked at Yang Chuan. Even Yang Qiuyu was looking at Yang Chuan, waiting for Yang Chuan to make a decision. The great hall was silent. Yang Chuan remained silent. After a moment of silence, Yang Chuan said, Yang Qiuyu attempted to usurp the throne. She must be executed. May your majesty live for 10,000 years. The courtiers immediately knelt down. Your majesty, please spare my father. Your majesty, please spare my father for the sake of my brother, Yang Wudi. Your majesty, I am willing to execute the punishment on behalf of my father. Please allow it. Yang Qiuyu's sons and daughters immediately shouted. At that moment, Yang Qiuyu did not feel sad. Instead, a trace of gratitude flashed through her eyes as she looked to Yang Chuan. My sons, there's no need to plead for mercy. You killed me well. I deserved to die. Yang Qiuyu shouted. Father. Everyone cried. Your majesty, please grant me the autumn rain sword, Yang Qiuyu said respectfully. The autumn rain sword was Yang Qiuyu's sword. Everyone seemed to have realized something. Allow it. Yang Chuan said. Liu Jin immediately took out a long sword and handed it to Yang Qiuyu. Father. His sons and daughters cried. Yang Qiuyu looked at her children with reluctance. Then, she looked at the Yang clan clansmen. A deep sense of longing flashed in her eyes. Your majesty, please take care of the Yang clan, Yang Qiuyu shouted. Then, the autumn rain sword slashed her own neck. TSK. With her cultivation sealed, Yang Qiuyu was no different from a mortal. She committed suicide in the Chaotian palace. Clang. The long sword fell to the ground. Yang Qiuyu also collapsed. Chapter 926. Great Shan Dynasty, Yang Capital, Skyward Palace. Yang Qiuyu had committed suicide in front of the palace. Father. Father. Yang Qiuyu's sons and daughters cried as they tried to step forward, but the Yang clan's relatives quickly pulled them away. Yang Qiuyu had usurped the throne and rebelled. No one else had participated, but Yang Qiuyu's sons and daughters could no longer touch Yang Qiuyu. Liu Gang stepped forward again. Your Majesty, on the day of Yang Qiuyu's rebellion, 12 of the Yang clan's relatives were vassals. Your Majesty, please make a decision, Liu Gang said solemnly. As soon as Liu Gang spoke, the Yang clan's relatives frowned and looked over. Plop. In the palace, 7 Yang clan's relatives immediately knelt. Your Majesty, we were muddle-headed at that time. We did not participate in the rebellion. Yang Qiuyu's blade was pointed at us. We did not take a stand. Your Majesty, please be lenient. The Yang clan's relatives did not say anything else. No one could break the country's rules. This was the foundation of a country. Some of the Yang clan's relatives were knowledgeable. Naturally, they would not cause trouble at a time like this. After all, Yang Chuan and the Yang clan's relatives could see the hope of the Yang clan's rise. Who would dare to undermine Yang Chuan at a time like this? On the dragon throne, Yang Chuan's gaze swept across the Yang clan's relatives. The Yang clan's relatives who do not take a stand will be demoted to commoners. Their titles will be demoted by one and passed to their sons, Yang Chuan said. Hearing Yang Chuan's decision, the Yang clan's relatives immediately bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty. Yang Chuan's decision not only upheld the laws of Great Shan, but also took care of the Yang clan's relatives. It was perfect. The Yang clan's relatives were extremely grateful. Yang Chuan looked at the Yang clan's relatives and said, You are all members of the Yang clan. Everyone stood respectfully. My favor to you is limited to this. I hope that you will encourage each other. If the Yang clan produces more talents, do not disappoint me, Yang Chuan said solemnly. Yes, we won't disappoint Your Majesty. The Yang clan clansman responded. He looked at Yang Qiuyu, who was lying on the ground, and then at Yang Qiuyu's sons and daughters. Yang Qiuyu's body will be buried by her children. Yang Chuan issued another edict. Yang Qiuyu's children looked at Yang Chuan with tears streaming down their faces. Yang Chuan was the one who had ordered Yang Qiuyu's death, but Yang Qiuyu had asked for it. For Darzhan and the Yang clan, Yang Chuan could not be blamed. Thank you, Your Majesty. Yang Qiuyu's children cried. After the morning assembly, Yang Chuan stood in the square of the heaven-facing hall and looked at the increasing providence in the sky. Rumble. Suddenly, the amount of providence increased dramatically. The endless amount of providence rumbled and increased. Towering waves suddenly appeared in Darshan's providence cloud. The waves grew thicker and thicker. In the blink of an eye, the amount nearly doubled. Feng Yinyang stood behind Yang Chuan. He also looked up at the sky. It seems that a mid-tier sect has been destroyed. Feng Yinyang sighed. Millimeter. Yang Chuan nodded and felt relieved. At this moment, Yang Chuan's expression suddenly changed. It's coming. Yang Chuan smiled. What? Feng Yinyang was puzzled. Cover the surroundings with fog. I'm going to transcend the tribulation. Yang Chuan said. Yes. Feng Yinyang quickly activated the array near the imperial city. The fog rose to the sky. Rumble. Rolling dark clouds appeared in the blink of an eye. The 59 heavenly tribulation. As soon as the 59 heavenly tribulation appeared, the power of heaven pressed down. Countless cultivators in Yangjin were startled. Chapter 9:27. The palace was shrouded in fog. Someone in the palace is going through a tribulation? A cultivator from Yangjing said in surprise. 59 heavenly tribulation? Is it the emperor? Liu Gang, who was outside the palace, was surprised. Roar. Yang Chuan opened his mouth and roared. While Feng Yinyang was shaking his head and sighing, he sucked in the 59 heavenly tribulation. The rolling heavenly tribulation rushed toward Yang Chuan. As he opened his mouth, he swallowed the heavenly tribulation. Others had a slim chance of surviving, but Yang Chuan's tribulation was like a gift from heaven. Rumble. In less than an hour, the 59 heavenly tribulation was swallowed by Yang Chuan. The sky was clear again, and Yang Chuan was surrounded by lightning. Yang Chuan had broken through again. Middle void stage, first tier. Dazhao sacred ground, 5 major sects, Lanyu sect, Emerald Cloud sect, Ziyun sect, Celestial sect, and Fengyang sect. Lanyu sect was destroyed by King Gao's endless zombies. At this moment, Emerald Cloud sect followed in Lanyu sect's footsteps. Endless zombies occupied all parts of Emerald Cloud sect, and all the cultivators were bitten into zombies. Roar. Roar. One by one, the zombies roared into the sky. At the same time, Emerald Cloud sect's virtuous cloud exploded and rolled toward Dazhao dynasty. Zhujian Sheng, the great swordsman, and the others looked at the scene in front of them with their mouths agape. A middle-level sect, a middle-level sect. It actually collapsed just like that. Zhu Jiansheng muttered to himself in shock. The 3 swordsmen held a small empty bottle in his hand. This small bottle of source poison is so powerful. The 3 swordsmen were shocked. Not far away, Yi Feng waved the Emperor's sword in his hand. Emperor's sword, purify the weak zombies, Yi Feng said in a deep voice. Buzz. The Emperor's sword flew out and scattered endless white light. As the white light gushed out, the rolling zombies fell to the ground, leaving behind a group of zombies with high cultivation. Sir, what do we do now? Zhujian Sheng immediately stepped forward. The Blue Cloud sect is close to the Purple Cloud sect. Manipulate the zombies and head towards the Purple Cloud sect. Yi Feng shouted. Yes. The group of experts immediately responded. The zombie army was marching towards the Purple Cloud sect. Fengyang sect. Jin Dayu was the first sect to be recruited. A purple-robed old man stood at the entrance of the main hall of the sect's main peak, waiting anxiously. Xiu. A white light shot over first. How is it? The purple-robed elder was the first to ask. It was a white-robed cultivator. His face was filled with panic as he said, Senior Marshal Brother, it's not good. At this moment, a group of experts quickly gathered around. Everyone stared at him. Junior brother, you went to the Blue Cloud sect. How is the Blue Cloud sect now? The purple-robed old man asked. The white-robed cultivator said bitterly, Azure Cloud sect, when I went, it was already destroyed. The Great Shan army is currently attacking the Purple Cloud sect. How is that possible? How long has it been? Did the Great Shan army take down the Blue Cloud sect so quickly? This doesn't make sense. The purple-robed old man said. Zombies, like the Blue Tranquil sect, are zombies. The Great Shan dynasty has the ability to control zombies. The white-robed cultivator said bitterly. Zombies? Everyone was shocked. Senior Marshal Brother, let's make a decision quickly. The Blue Cloud sect is destroyed, and the Purple Cloud sect must be in danger. Senior Marshal Brother, please make a decision, the white-robed cultivator said. The purple-robed old man's eyes were filled with uncertainty. After thinking for a while, he suddenly made up his mind. Everyone, let's submit to the Great Shan dynasty. The purple-robed old man took a deep breath and said. Senior Marshal Brother, why? Let's wait a little longer. The other junior Marshal Brothers' news will come soon. Let's wait a little longer. Some junior Marshal Brothers went to the Great Jiao Holy Land. Let's wait a little longer. Yes, Senior Marshal Brother, let's wait a little longer. Even if the result is not good, we can just rebuild the sect. Yes, even if we fight for the Tiance and rebuild the sect, it's better than submitting to the Great Shan dynasty. Everyone was talking at once. Everyone. The purple-robed old man suddenly shouted. Everyone looked at the purple-robed old man. The East Divine Continent is about to change greatly. Even if you don't want to admit it, it's an indisputable fact. Everyone knows how big the Great Shan dynasty is this time. Rebuild the sect. Do you think it's easy to fight for the Tiance in this chaotic world? Even the Julu Academy can't take care of itself when the time comes. If we don't seize the opportunity now, our Fengyang sect is very likely to disband. Many of our disciples will become independent cultivators and become sacrificial lambs in the chaos of the East Divine Continent. The purple-robed old man shouted. Everyone's expression changed. Quick, if we join the Great Shan dynasty now, it'll be considered a meritorious service. Moreover, if we help the Great Shan dynasty pacify the various borders in this war, our Fengyang sect's disciples will have outstanding merits even in the Great Shan dynasty. I've studied the Great Shan dynasty and value merits greatly. Even if we join the Great Shan dynasty, we can quickly stabilize ourselves and not be at the bottom. The purple-robed old man shouted. Quick, we must be quick. The purple-robed old man said solemnly. Everyone looked at the purple-robed old man with furrowed brows. Senior brother, I believe in you. Senior brother is the wisest among us. Even when the sect master was still alive, Senior brother was the one who resolved the many dangers that the sect faced. I support you, the first person said. Senior brother, I support you too. The Fengyang sect made a decision that shocked countless sects. Submit to the Great Shan dynasty. All right, junior brothers, we'll split into two groups. One group will inform all the disciples and quickly subdue the weaker sects around us. Let the Fengyang sect and the nearby subordinate sects all belong to the Great Shan dynasty. The other group will go to the Heavenly Star sect and help Jin Dayu reclaim the Heavenly Star sect. As for me, I'll immediately head to the Yang capital to hand over the official letter, the purple-robed old man ordered. Yes. The upper echelons of the Fengyang sect quickly moved together. Rumble. The providence of the Great Shan dynasty in the Yang capital was increasing at a visible rate every day. The people of the Yang capital were unusually excited. Everyone could feel the powerful atmosphere. The Yang capital had become stronger. The Great Shan dynasty had become stronger. Feng Guang of the Fengyang sect greets the emperor. Long live the emperor! The purple-robed cultivator of the Fengyang sect had already rushed to the Yang capital. Good, Feng Guang. Feng Guang, since the Fengyang sect has surrendered to Da Zhen, I will not mistreat the disciples of Da Zhen. Da Zhen's eastern factory has already sent a large number of factory guards to your Fengyang sect's territory. Since you have surrendered to Da Zhen, they have already started recording your achievement. Yang Chuan helped Feng Guang up. Thank you, Your Majesty. Feng Guang said gratefully. Feng Guang understood that his submission had a greater meaning. He wanted to set an example for the world, so Yang Chuan wouldn't mistreat the disciples of the Fengyang sect. Only the disciples of the Fengyang sect would receive preferential treatment. When the Great Shan dynasty attacked in the future, there would be fewer people who stubbornly resisted. Chapter 928. In the Great Jiao Holy Land, one of the 5 great vassal sects, the the Purple Cloud Sect. The Purple Cloud Sect's virtuous cloud sect had completely collapsed. Endless merit points rushed to the Great Shan dynasty. The Purple Cloud Sect was completely destroyed. Yi Feng controlled the god's sword to carry out the final purification of the zombies. One by one, the zombies were purified. Their souls bowed gratefully to Yi Feng before entering the netherworld. Naturally, since the netherworld of the sealed world had disappeared, the zombies could only enter the netherworld of the celestial realm. A group of soldiers from the Great Shan dynasty used a secret technique to control the zombies. Zhu Jiansheng and the others stood behind Yi Feng. "My lord, why are you purifying them all? Since the zombies are so powerful, can't we keep them to attack cities in the future?" Zhu Jiansheng asked curiously. Yi Feng shook his head and said, "The emperor said that this is the lowest grade of origin poison. It can only last for 3 months. In other words, after 3 months, these zombies will die at the same time. It can't be recycled at all. Otherwise, who in the world can fight against the zombies?" "Oh." Zhu Jiansheng nodded. "It's going to be 3 months soon. These zombies will soon be completely dead. To be able to destroy 2 middle-level sects within 3 months, we can be considered to have accomplished our mission," Yi Feng said with satisfaction. "Then, what should we do next? Should we join forces with the other legions? There's no need for that. Let's return to the capital. The second legion has completed their mission. Let's return to the capital and wait for the Great Shan dynasty to advance to the imperial dynasty," Yi Feng said solemnly. "Understood." At the same time, the god's sword purified countless zombies. The vitality that the god's sword deprived was quickly transferred to Yang Chuan's body through a mysterious connection. Yang Chuan's birth chart power was rising rapidly. Yang Chuan was certain that his birth chart power, which had just advanced to the first level of the middle void stage, would rise rapidly again. Heavenly Star Sect. Dong. Dong. The sound of a bell reverberated in the air. Jin Yu held the gate of heaven in his hand as he looked down at the cultivators. When the disciples of the Fengyang sect arrived to assist Jin Dayu, the Heavenly Star sect's virtuous cloud had already shattered, and the virtuous cloud surged towards the Great Shan dynasty. The disciples of the Heavenly Star sect fled in all directions, while the experts were all severely injured by Jin Dayu. Once the primal chaos rang out, its might was vast. Countless mountains in the surroundings were also reduced to dust. "My lord, the Fengyang sect has officially submitted to the Great Shan Empire. My senior brother has already gone to the Yang capital to pay his respects to the emperor," a disciple of the Fengyang sect immediately said. Millimeter. Jin Dayu nodded and turned to look at the Heavenly Star sect disciples. "Everyone, listen up. The Celestial Star sect has already collapsed, and there is no more Celestial Star sect in this world. Now, this Lord will give all of you one more chance. Join my great accomplishment, and I will ask the Emperor to allow all of you to join my third legion," Jin Dayu shouted. The experts of the Heavenly Star sect felt extremely bitter. Jingming had just ascended, right? The Heavenly Star sect was destroyed in the blink of an eye. "We are willing to enter the great perfection. I am willing to join." "Me too." Jin Dayu had subdued another group of experts. "My lord, what should we do now?" a disciple of the Fengyang sect asked. "Rendezvous with the Great Shan dynasty's first legion and uproot the last sect," Jin Dayu shouted. "Understood." 5 months later. The World Margin Sect. The World Margin Sect was located in the north of the Great Shan dynasty. It was one of the 2 major sects that the First Legion was attacking. To the north was the Great Zhao Holy Land, to the east was the sea, and to the west was the Fengyang sect. To the south was the Great Shan dynasty, which was separated by a mid-level sect. Chapter 929. The leader of the World Margin Sect, Hong Yang. In the past, when the Great Shan Empire annihilated the Great Winged Heaven School, in order to deal with Jin Dayu, they asked the leaders of the 5 great sects for help. Although the leaders of the 5 great sects extorted a large sum of money from them, Yang Chuan didn't care. The World Margin Sect's Hong Yang was one of the 5 experts who had besieged Jin Dayu. World Margin Sect, World Margin Hall. The upper echelons of the World Margin sect had gathered. Hong Yang's expression was extremely complicated. Among the group of World Margin sect's experts in front of him, there were 4 Middle Emptiness Realm experts and nearly 100 Lower Emptiness Realm experts. The hall was completely silent. Hong Yang clenched his fists, his brows furrowed. Sect leader, the Great Shan Empire is too ruthless. The troops they sent this time are too terrifying. A middle void stage expert's expression was extremely unsightly. That's right, sect leader. The enemy sect to the south, the Eastward sect, was defeated by the commander of the Great Shan Empire's First Legion. Hu Guang. This nobody could have imagined that he would grow too quickly. He even has Yang Chuan's Jade Emperor Sword. Once the Jade Emperor Sword formation was used, countless experts died under the Jade Emperor Sword. The Eastward sect was careless and completely collapsed. Another middle void stage expert took a deep breath and said, "That's right. The Eastward sect leader didn't take Hu Guang seriously in the beginning. He didn't gather the experts of the various cities and didn't activate the defensive formation. In the end, more than half of the Eastward sect's disciples were killed or injured, and even more people fled in all directions. The Eastward sect is no more. Of course, Hu Guang's First Legion also suffered heavy casualties. However, Hu Guang wasn't satisfied. He actually led his army and headed towards our sect." Hong Yang's expression was extremely unsightly. He shook his head and laughed bitterly. "Everyone, perhaps you still don't know. Hey! The Great Shan Empire's Second Legion destroyed the Azure Cloud sect and the Purple Cloud sect. The Third Legion destroyed the Sealing Sun sect and the Celestial Star sect. Moreover, the Third Legion is very likely to come from the west." Hong Yang laughed bitterly. "What?" Everyone's expression changed. These 4 were middle void sects. They were all destroyed. The hall was instantly filled with clamor, fear, panic, and shock. Asian's strength was beyond everyone's understanding. The 4 middle-level sects were all middle-level sect. In such a short period of time, the entire army was wiped out. Even if Jingting ascended, the East Divine Continent still has the Dazhao Holy Ground. Isn't the Dazhao Holy Ground too arrogant? Isn't the Dazhao Holy Ground suppressing them? A cultivator said in a low voice. Hong Yang smiled bitterly and said, "Everyone, do you know the flag of the Great Accomplishment 4th Legion that we have erected in the north?" The hall suddenly fell silent. According to the information I obtained, the commander of the 4th Army is Meng Wanruo. Meng Wanruo has been in the Great Jiao for a very long time and knows a lot of things about the Great Jiao. Meng Wanruo schemed against the cities of the Great Jiao Holy Land. In addition to the convenience arranged by Mo Yushi in the past, about 1/3 of the cities in the Great Jiao Holy Land were plundered by Meng Wanruo in one go. At this moment, it should be coming to an end. No, it's even possible that the 4th Legion is heading towards our World Margin sect. Hong Yang said bitterly. There was complete silence in the hall. 1/3 of the Great Jiao Holy Land's territory? 1/3? What kind of concept was that? The East Divine Continent has changed greatly. Another Middle Void Realm expert said bitterly. Yang Chuan? Who would have thought that this Yang Chuan is actually so powerful? The Great Shan is actually so valiant. If I had known, I wouldn't have helped him destroy the Great Winged Heaven School. Hong Yang said bitterly. In the hall, the hearts of the experts were heavy. Sect Master, can we negotiate peace with the Great Shan dynasty? A cultivator asked. Chapter 930. Hong Yang smiled and said, "Our World Margin sect faces the sea to the east and is surrounded by the Great Shan Empire on the other 3 sides. Moreover, the Great Shan Empire's army is flourishing. Do you think that they will have a meeting at this time?" The hall fell silent again. Report. A voice suddenly came from outside the hall. A cultivator quickly rushed into the hall. Sect Master, the Great Shan Empire's army has arrived. The army has arrived at the sect. The cultivator reported. Everyone in the hall immediately frowned. Quickly activate the mountain guarding array. The cultivator's Jiaohu shouted. Hong Yang led a group of experts and slowly stepped out of the World Margin Hall. Standing in the square of the World Margin Hall, one could see the long army in the south. The army was still on the way, but Hua Guang was the first to arrive. Great Shan Empire's first army commander, Hua Guang, greets sect master Hong. Hua Guang shouted as he stepped on a ferocious tiger. Dong! A bell suddenly rang from the west. Jin Dayu led the experts he had subdued from the two middle-level sects and arrived at the World Margin sect. Great Shan Empire's third army commander, Jin Dayu, greets sect master Hong. Sect master Hong, I have never forgotten that I was attacked by 4 middle-level Void Realm experts and was injured. Sect master Hong, how have you been? Jin Dayu sneered. Roar. A tiger roar suddenly came from the north of the World Margin sect. Meng Wanruo stepped on the head of a ferocious tiger, followed by a group of tiger tribe experts and some Confucian scholars. Great Shan Empire's fourth army commander, Meng Wanruo, greets sect master Hong. Meng Wanruo said with a smile. More and more experts gathered. The mountain guarding array around the World Margin sect was fully activated. Under the huge shield, countless experts did not feel safe at all. Many of them were even drenched in cold sweat. Sect Master, I have already notified the 100 cities under our control. A large number of cultivators will come to assist us. A World Margin sect disciple said softly. 100 cities and a large number of cultivators coming? Hong Yang smiled bitterly. Shaking his head, Hong Yang took a deep breath. Lord Hua, Lord Jin, Lord Meng, may I know why you three have come? Hong asked. Hua Guang took out an imperial edict. On the orders of the emperor, I've come to announce the recruitment of the World Margin sect. World Margin sect, Hong Yang, receive the imperial edict. Hua Guang shouted while holding the imperial edict. Receive the imperial edict. Once they accepted the edict, it meant that the World Margin sect was willing to submit to the Great Shan Empire. Countless disciples of the World Margin sect were enraged. However, if he didn't accept the decree, it would be an official declaration of war. Although Hong Yang was only at the middle void stage, as long as he mobilized the virtuous cloud's energy of virtue, Hong Yang's strength could rise to the upper void stage in a short time. It was just like how Yang Chuan used the golden dragon of providence. Upper void stage? Hong Yang looked at Jin Dayu with bitterness in his eyes. It would have been fine if he hadn't known about the Great Shan dynasty's military achievements. However, he now knew that the Great Shan dynasty had already destroyed 5 middle sects. Now, all the armies had gathered and were pressing against the World Margin sect. At this moment, could he resist? Behind Jin Dayu, there were 5 or 6 middle void stage cultivators that he knew. Jin Dayu was even at the upper void stage. Hua Guang's strength had also reached the middle void stage. The World Margin sect was besieged on all sides. They were at a dead end and had no strong reinforcements. Could they resist? Sect Master, let's fight with them. Sect Master, I'm not afraid of death. The disciples weren't afraid of the Great Shan Empire, but some of them showed fear. Hong Yang smiled bitterly. World Margin sect, Hong Yang, is willing to lead the World Margin sect to submit to the Great Shan Empire and receive the Emperor's edict. Hong Yang shouted. Chapter 931. Dajian Empire, Yang Jing, Upper Study Room. Yang Chuan sat behind his desk while Yi Feng and Liu Gang stood in front of him. Liu Jin stood respectfully at the side. Yang Chuan held a memorial in his hand and read it carefully. Your Majesty, news from the Dazhao Holy Ground. Yarou Tianshang's previous life, Zhu, killed 4 Upper Void Realm experts with a single slash. He was the strongest man 30,000 years ago. Liu Gang said. Zhu. Yang Chuan's face turned serious. The strongest man in the world, the meaning behind this title was too deep. The strongest man in the world, Jing Ming, the strongest man 10,000 years ago, Knife Demon, the strongest man 20,000 years ago, Dugu Butian, the strongest man 30,000 years ago, Zhu, the strongest man 50,000 years ago, Dongfang Bubai. Every strongest man in the world not only represented their strength, but also represented a great era. Jing Ming had just left, and Zhu had returned. Yi Feng. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Your Majesty. You are in charge of collecting all information about Yaro Tianshang and Zhu. Yang Chuan said in a low voice. Yes. Yi Feng replied. Your Majesty, news from the East Faction Guards said that when Mohina Jin was facing Kong Mok's subordinates, he merged with a black lotus and turned into a powerful monster. The monster had a pair of horns on its head and evil aura filled the sky. Mohina Jin's strength was also abnormally strong. At that time, he did not use the Dazhao Holy Ground and only fought with his evil body. Both sides suffered heavy losses. Kong Mok's subordinates were all heavily injured, and 2 Upper Void Realm experts and 14 Middle Void Realm experts died, Liu Gang said. Looking at the memorial in his hand, Yang Chuan smiled faintly and said, "It is written in the memorial. I saw it. Mohina Jin was heavily injured, and Kong Mok's subordinates were also heavily injured. 2 Upper Void Realm experts even died. Kong Mok was really unlucky in the East Divine Continent. Your Majesty, Kong Mok retreated from the Dazhao Holy Land. Although he was severely injured, he should be able to recover soon. I'm worried that," Liu Gang said with a solemn expression. Yang Chuan's face darkened as he said, "Don't worry about it. Not just anyone can barge into my Beijing." Yes. Liu Gang secretly exhaled. Boom. Right at this moment, the sea of karmic luck surged once more. Boundless luck surged and soared into the sky. Although Yang Chuan and the others did not go out, they could still feel the sudden change in luck. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The World's Edge sect has surrendered without a fight. Yi Feng immediately guessed the result and congratulated. If it was obtained through battle, the providence would slowly increase. But now, it had suddenly skyrocketed. This meant that the World Margin sect would be wiped out instantly. Jin Dayu and Hua Guang probably did not have the ability to do so. It could only be said that the World Margin sect had surrendered. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The Great Shan Dynasty's territory is already the largest in the East Divine Continent. It's even larger than the Dazhao Holy Land, Liu Gang said excitedly. Yang Chuan nodded in satisfaction and said, "Liu Jin, old slave is here." Liu Jin said respectfully, "Prepare the altar. The Great Shan Dynasty is going to advance into an imperial dynasty," Yang Chuan said solemnly. "Yes," Liu Jin said excitedly. At the same time, Yi Feng and Liu Gang both revealed looks of joy. World's Edge Sect. Ever since the World's Edge Sect Master, Hong Yang, announced his surrender to the Great Shan Dynasty, the sea of karmic luck suddenly collapsed and flowed toward the Great Shan Dynasty. Inside the World's Edge Palace, Hong Yang led 4 Middle Void Realm cultivators of the World's Edge sect to receive Hua Guang, Jin Dayu, and Meng Wanruo. "Greetings, Your Majesties," Hong Yang said solemnly. "Mr. Hong, you're too humble. Since you're able to take charge of a Middle Realm sect, you must have extraordinary skills and abilities. The Great Shan Dynasty urgently needs talents like you," Meng Wanruo said with a smile. Chapter 932. You're too kind, Lord Meng. I'm not worthy, Hong Yang said humbly. You're worthy, Mr. Hong. Our emperor is thirsty for talents. With Mr. Hong joining us, Da Zhen will definitely prosper. Do you have any expectations? Meng Wanruo said with a smile as he waved his feather fan. Hong Yang smiled and said, "I've studied Da Zhen's system for some time. I hope that the 3 of you can let me contribute more to Da Zhen, so that I won't be a lowly subject when I enter Da Zhen." Meng Wanruo, Jin Dayu, and Hua Guang looked at each other and nodded in agreement. Hua Guang said, "Since that's the case, you'll first gather all the disciples who are willing to join Da Zhen. Then, you'll follow me to reorganize the troops. Together with me, Lord Meng, and Lord Jin, we'll consolidate the surrounding cities. Once the territory here is stabilized, you'll follow us to Yangjin to meet the emperor." Okay. Hong Yang accepted the task. Countries and sects had different attitudes toward cities. Countries operated cities to strengthen their borders. As for the sects, they operated the cities for the sake of spirit stones. Therefore, although they had conquered a large number of cities, the system of the cities had to be changed. Moreover, the garrison of each city had to be more standardized. This was also the reason why the three commanders could not return to Daejun. Hua Guang was in charge of the army, Meng Wanruo was in charge of politics, and Jin Dayu was in charge of dealing with any accident. In a mountain forest in Daejun's territory, Kong Mok sat cross-legged. His hands were suffused with black evil qi, and his face was pale. As he channeled his energy, the evil qi in his hands was slowly being forced out. Finally, all the evil qi was forced out, and his face was much rosier. There were 80 experts sitting beside him, each of them suffusing black qi. Kong Mok stood up, and his face was extremely ugly. Not far away, the Longma was waiting quietly. Kong Mok pressed his palm on the back of an expert. Whoosh! Black qi suddenly emerged from the expert's body. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Kong Mok repeated the process and helped the experts expel the evil qi in their bodies. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Everyone bowed. Mohina Jin. Myriad Wonder Demonic Lotus. Kong Mok's face darkened. "Your Majesty, this trip to the East Divine Continent can be said to have suffered heavy losses. 6 Upper Void Realm cultivators died, and the Surya Buddha's whereabouts are unknown. Also, I don't know how the primordial Tao Buddha in the Yang capital is now," an expert said bitterly. "Buddha of the primordial path? Temph, didn't you hear about it when you came here? The Great Shan Imperial Dynasty dispatched troops everywhere and already broke through quite a few sects. The origin Tao Buddha definitely didn't succeed," Kong Mok said with a gloomy expression. "What should we do now?" Everyone looked at Kong Mok. "Since we can't control the Great Perfection, then forget it. We'll go destroy the Great Perfection now and seize its providence to make up for our losses," Kong Mok said solemnly. "Yes," everyone replied. Everyone mounted the dragon horse together. "Let's go," Kong Mok shouted. The group of people rode on their dragon horses and headed south to Yangjing, Great Shan Dynasty, Yangjing. Inside the imperial city, in the sky, surging providence churned endlessly. Below, hundreds of officials stood respectfully in the square of the heavenly hall. On the square, there was a huge platform. Liu Jin stood on the platform, holding a horsetail whisk in her hand as she looked at the sky. "It's time," Liu Jin shouted. Clang! The door of the heavenly hall opened with a bang. The officials bowed respectfully at the entrance of the heavenly hall. Yang Chuan, dressed in a dragon robe and a flat imperial crown, stepped out in an extremely grand manner. Chapter 933. Long live the Emperor. The officials congratulated him. Under the respectful gazes of the officials, Yang Chuan walked towards the high platform step by step. Yi Feng, Feng Yinyang, Liu Gang, and the others were among the officials. Not far from the Skyward Hall, Bai Ditian was also watching this scene. Yang Chuan walked up the platform, which was a huge altar. He took the investiture of the gods and the great heavenly seal and placed them on the jade table on the altar. "Kneel to the heavens," Liu Jin shouted. Yang Chuan waved his dragon robe and knelt on the futon. Roar! Above the Providence clouds, the golden dragon of Providence suddenly roared. Boom! The golden dragon of Providence swooped down and opened its mouth to bite the investiture of the gods. It grabbed the great heavenly seal with its claws. Roar! The golden dragon of Providence carried the investiture of the gods and the great heavenly seal and soared into the sky. Bow! Liu Jin shouted. Yang Chuan bowed to the heavens. Bow again. Yang Chuan bowed again. Bow thrice. Yang Chuan bowed thrice. Rise! Liu Jin shouted again. Yang Chuan waved his dragon robe and stood up gently. Liu Jin bowed respectfully to Yang Chuan and then slowly retreated from the huge altar. When the Great Shan dynasty was established, Liu Jin had also shouted this. However, at that time, she had not only bowed to the heavens but also to the earth. However, now that the dynasty had become an imperial dynasty, she had stopped bowing to the earth. She bowed to the heavens and not the earth. Roar! A loud dragon roar came from below the heavens. As the dragon roar spread, the entire sea of Providence clouds seemed to churn violently. Roar! In the sky, the golden dragon of Providence descended again. Boom! The golden dragon of Providence fell into the sea of Providence clouds. For a moment, The Sea of Providence seemed to shrink rapidly. Surging Providence rushed into the Golden Dragon of Providence. One could vaguely see that the Golden Dragon of Providence had taken on a corporeal form. It radiated golden light in all directions and was extremely domineering. Above the Sea of Providence, the investiture of the gods and the great stabilizing heavenly seal slowly descended towards Yang Chuan. Both of them emitted a faint, colorful light. Apparently, they had been given new karmic titles by God after they had soared to the ninth heaven. Buzz. The two trembled slightly. Yang Chuan took a deep breath. Instead, he turned to look at the Sea of Providence. The success or failure of the Golden Dragon of Providence was the most important thing. Boom. The Sea of Providence shrunk by nearly half. Endless providence poured into the Golden Dragon of Providence. An hour later. Tilde. Above the Sea of Providence clouds, a dragon's roar shook the heavens. The roar shot into the 9 heavens, shaking the endless clouds in the surroundings to the point that they were instantly shattered. There was not a single cloud in sight for thousands of kilometers. The Golden Dragon of Providence appeared in front of everyone once again. The Golden Dragon seemed to have taken on a corporeal form. Its entire body exuded vigorous energy. Its body became 10,000 feet long, and its horns were much more prominent. Most importantly, its claws changed from the original 5-clawed golden dragon to the 9-clawed golden dragon. The 9-clawed golden dragon of the imperial dynasty? Yang Chuan smiled in satisfaction. Tilde. The 9-clawed golden dragon raised its head and roared. As it roared, endless golden light shot out and instantly shot towards all the officials of the Great Shan dynasty. For a moment, countless officials suddenly felt a powerful surge of providence descending upon them. The officials of Great Shan all felt a great amount of providence descending upon them. They all felt their pores open. Many of them even felt that the shackles of their cultivation had been instantly broken. Liu Gang and the other officials were all overjoyed. From today onwards, Great Shan, a country under the imperial dynasty, will be promoted to Imperial Dynasty China, the Great Shan Imperial Dynasty. Receiving the mandate of heaven, I shall live a long and prosperous life. Yang Chuan shouted in satisfaction. Long live the Great Shan Imperial Dynasty. May your majesty live for 10,000 years. May your majesty live for 10,000 years. Chapter 934. Great Shan Empire, North. Inside a large hall, Meng Wanruo was dealing with some government affairs when a golden light shot into his body. Whoosh! A breeze blew around Meng Wanruo, causing the pages to flutter. Providence. Is this the Imperial Empire? Meng Wanruo sighed. Meng Wanruo stood up and stepped out of the hall. Outside the hall, a group of scholars looked at Meng Wanruo. Lord, I can feel that our providence has increased. A scholar exclaimed. Meng Wanruo nodded and smiled. My lord, did His Majesty promote the Great Shan Empire to an imperial empire? The scholar asked excitedly. Meng Wanruo nodded, then shook his head. Remember, Great Shan is now an imperial empire. Many rules and systems have changed. Don't call him emperor anymore, call him your majesty. Yes. The scholar nodded. Go and do your work. Meng Wanruo said. Yes. After the scholar left, Meng Wanruo looked to the south. Imperial Empire? Imperial Empire's providence is stronger than Julu Academy's. Julu Academy has always been thinking of ways to increase their providence, but has never succeeded. 1 life, 2 luck, 3 feng shui, 4 yin virtues, and 5 studies. 5 studies? Is the purpose of studying just to be sold to the royal family? Meng Wanruo frowned. Julu Academy had thought of many ways, but their providence had never increased. But Great Shan Empire's providence had surpassed Julu Academy's in a short time. Meng Wanruo even understood that there was a celestial empire above the imperial empire. Once they reached the celestial empire, their providence would increase by another level, just like the great tragedy celestial empire in southern divine continent. Great Shan Empire, everyone rejoices. Meng Wanruo smiled. Julu Academy. On a high platform. Dean Yuyi looked at Meng Lingtian. Meng Lingtian, however, looked to the northeast. His expression changed slightly. Senior, Now that you have the body of an immortal, you can also step out of this world. If Julu Academy is under your control, it will definitely prosper. Senior, please take control of Julu Academy, Li Yi said solemnly. Meng Lingtian shook his head. No need. Yu Yi, do you feel it? Meng Lingtian asked solemnly. What? Yu Yi asked doubtfully. Looks like you can't feel it. Meng Lingtian shook his head. Senior, what happened? Yu Yi asked curiously. That's the Great Shan dynasty in the northeast, right? Meng Lingtian asked in a deep voice. That's right, the Great Shan Empire also has providence. Meng Lingtian took a deep breath and said, right now, the Great Shan dynasty's providence is even greater than the Julu Academy's. What? How is that possible? Yu Yi said in surprise. I remember that Meng Wanruo is currently an official in Great Shan. Meng Lingtian asked curiously. Yes, your great-great-grandson. His position in the Great Shan Empire isn't light. He's the commander of the 4th Legion. Li Yi nodded. Send someone to take a look, Meng Lingtian said. Yes. Great Shan Empire, Yangjing. When Great Shan became an imperial dynasty, the officials instantly felt a boundless amount of fate descending upon them. That was the benefit of Great Shan. With providence on their bodies, cultivation became more convenient. Some of the less talented people, such as Yi Feng and Liu Gang, instantly tripled their cultivation speed. Moreover, everyone understood that as long as Great Shan became stronger, the providence on their bodies would increase. Yang Chuan's training hall. The sword of God was placed on his knees. The hall was filled with countless spirit stones. Rumble. Under the powerful suction force, the chi of heaven and earth in the spirit stones surged into Yang Chuan's body. Chapter 935. After purifying countless zombies, the power of his birth charts skyrocketed. At this moment, a large amount of heaven and earth essence energy entered Yang Chuan's body and madly strengthened his cultivation base. First level of the middle void stage. Second level of the middle void stage. Third level of the middle void stage. Fourth level of the middle void stage. Fifth level of the middle void stage. It only stopped when it reached the 5th level of the middle void stage. God's sword. It's almost on par with the Emperor's sword in my past life. The Grand Emperor's sword accompanied my body in my past life. I wonder if my coffin is still there. Yang Chuan smiled bitterly. Yang Chuan smiled bitterly. Suddenly, Yang Chuan's eyes narrowed. Achem. Yang Chuan's expression darkened. Following that, Yang Chuan slowly closed his eyes again. At the same time, in the Great Shan Imperial Dynasty, the 9-clawed golden dragon that was hovering above the Sea of Providence suddenly opened its eyes. Roar. The 9-clawed golden dragon of Great Shan suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. Countless cultivators in all directions of Yang capital looked up. They saw a powerhouse in the sky was sent flying by the 9-clawed golden dragon's tail. Boom. A powerhouse was sent flying. Above the Sea of Providence, the 9-clawed golden dragon's eyes narrowed. It was Yang Chuan's eyes. Yang Chuan controlled the golden dragon of Providence with his soul. The 9-clawed golden dragon looked coldly at Emperor Moku, who was riding on a dragon horse with 80 powerhouses. Each of them was aggressive and filled with battle intent. The 9-clawed golden dragon stared at Kong Moku. Both of them looked at each other coldly. Bai Ditian, Yi Feng, Liu Gang, and the others quickly rushed out of their respective halls and arrived at the Skyward Hall's square. Kong Moku, the 9-clawed golden dragon said coldly. Kong Moku looked at the 9-clawed golden dragon with narrowed eyes. 9-clawed golden dragon? Imperial dynasty? Yang Chuan, you're really lucky, Kong Moku said with a gloomy expression. The 9-clawed golden dragon scratched the Sea of Providence and looked down at Kong Mok. Kong Mok, are you declaring war against the Great Shan Empire in the name of the Great Buddha Empire? The 9-clawed golden dragon shouted coldly. Ha ha ha, it's good that you know. That Jin Dayu is still in the north, right? The only upper void realm cultivator in the Swallow capital is Bai Ditian. Let's see how you are going to stop me. I really shouldn't have been merciful to you back then, Kong Mok said with a cold light in his eyes. Be merciful to me. You really have the cheek to say that. Back then, if I didn't die, I would have exchanged my father and mother's life for theirs. They died unwillingly, and I will avenge them. Wash your neck and wait. As for now, scram, ang tilde. With a dragon roar, the nine-clawed golden dragon unleashed a vast oppressive dragon aura. The dragon's might was so strong that it forced the group of dragon horses to retreat. Kong Moke snorted coldly and blocked the dragon's might. How dare you? Slaughter the city and leave no one alive. Kong Moke snorted coldly. Bai Ditien's expression changed, and he was about to step out. Bai Ditien, you don't have to do anything. The nine-clawed golden dragon shouted. Huh! Bai Ditien looked at the nine-clawed golden dragon in confusion. This is the Great Shan Empire, and the Swallow capital. This is my home ground. I might not be able to kill Kong Moke, but I can protect myself. None of them can touch the Swallow capital. The nine-clawed golden dragon snorted coldly. Feng Yin-yang. The nine-clawed golden dragon shouted. Yes. Feng Yin-yang shouted. Ang, 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 ang. Under Feng Yin-yang's control, the endless mountains and rivers around the Swallow capital rumbled loudly. Under the loud rumbling, the power of the dragon veins rushed into the sky. Chapter 936. The power of the dragon meridian soared into the sky. It didn't enter the nine-clawed golden dragon. Instead, it turned into balls of light that surrounded the nine-clawed golden dragon like stars. The balls of light soared into the sky like stars in the sky. The stars surrounded the nine-clawed golden dragon. The nine-clawed golden dragon looked like the supreme power of the heavens. It made people flinch. However, as soon as Kong Moke gave the order, 80 powerhouses soared into the sky. 14 upper void stage cultivators and 66 middle void stage cultivators charged toward Yang Jin with a ferocious aura. Among them, 5 of the upper void stage cultivators stood in the sky and slashed down with their energy sabers. Under the attack of the energy sabers, a storm rose in the void. The 5 energy sabers slashed down like 5 heavenly swords. The nine-clawed golden dragon glared and stepped forward. Stellar cycle. The nine-clawed golden dragon shouted coldly. The endless stars of dragon chi that surrounded the nine-clawed golden dragon suddenly charged toward the 5 energy sabers. Whoosh! Feng Yin-yang protected the area below Yang Jin with an array formation. It was not affected by the storm raging in the sky. However, countless people could see it clearly. Thousands of stars swirled around the saber as it shot forward. In an instant, the saber of the upper void realm exploded with a loud bang. Bam! The attacks of the 5 upper void stage cultivators were all shattered. The 5 middle void stage experts at the very front also instantly charged into the heavenly cycle of stars. The endless stars of dragon chi twisted violently. The huge twisting force squeezed the 5 middle void stage cultivators. Ah! The 5 of them shouted in shock. They each took out their Dharma treasures and formed a shield to protect themselves. Bam! 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 Under the strangling power of the heavenly cycle constellation, even if one used a magic treasure to protect himself, it would still explode instantly. Blood mist rose into the sky. The 5 middle void stage cultivators were killed in an instant. The nine-clawed golden dragon charged toward the upper void stage cultivator at the front. The upper void stage cultivator slashed at the nine-clawed golden dragon. Clang! The nine-clawed golden dragon exploded with golden light. Under the dazzling golden light, the blade only left a shallow scar on the dragon's scales. When the golden light dissipated, the golden dragon's claw grabbed the practitioner's leg. Ah! The upper void stage expert roared in shock. However, it was already too late. The nine-clawed golden dragon had already clawed at his upper body. Senior brother! A Xiozha in the distance exclaimed in shock. However, the nine-clawed golden dragon completely ignored them and pulled with its 2 claws. Rip! That upper void stage expert was torn in half by the nine-clawed golden dragon. Boom! Blood and organs flew everywhere. The experts who were sprinting all stopped in their tracks in horror. 5 middle void stage martial artists were killed by the stars, and one upper void stage martial artist was torn apart on the spot. They had only met once. It had only been a single exchange. Needless to say, Kong Mok and the others opened their mouths in shock. Even Bai Ditien looked at this scene with his mouth agape. This didn't make sense. The nine-clawed golden dragon had just advanced to Imperial Dynasty, and it was already so powerful. Although that upper void stage expert was only at the second level, he was still at the upper void stage. He was torn in half without any resistance. How powerful was the nine-clawed golden dragon? Throwing away the torn corpse, the nine-clawed golden dragon landed on the Sea of Providence again. Boom! The Sea of Providence churned. The dragon aura stars continued to revolve around the nine-clawed golden dragon. The nine-clawed golden dragon looked at Kong Mok from afar. "Kong Mok, do you want to come again?" the nine-clawed golden dragon said coldly. In just one exchange, another upper void stage expert and 5 middle void stage experts died. Kong Mok's heart was bleeding. He had brought 22 upper void stage experts to the East Divine Continent. Were they all here to die? Yang Chuan, where are the Origin Path Buddha and the Relic Buddha? Kong Mok seemed to have realized something and asked. "Dead," the nine-clawed golden dragon said in a low voice. Kong Mok's face darkened. "Your Majesty." The group of upper void stage experts looked at Kong Mok. Kong Mok was in a bad mood, and the group of upper void stage experts were even more terrified. After Jing Ting ascended, the original 22 upper void stage experts could be said to be invincible. But now, they were dying one after another. This was too fast. From the Dazhao sacred ground to here, there were only 13 left. How could this be? "Yang Chuan, I will be back. I will tear you into pieces," Kong Mok said coldly. "I will wait for you in Yangjing," the nine-clawed golden dragon said coldly. "Let's go," Kong Mok shouted. Riding on their dragon horses, the group of people rode towards the west. It was not that Yang Chuan did not want to kill, but the nine-clawed golden dragon had its own restrictions and could not stop the group from leaving. Standing on the Sea of Providence, the nine-clawed golden dragon watched as Kong Mok left. Then, it sat up again and closed its eyes to cultivate. In the training room, Yang Chuan suddenly opened his eyes, got up, and walked out of the main hall. Along the way, Kong Mok and his subordinates were all silent. The atmosphere was extremely heavy. The East Divine Continent was unfavorable. The journey here was not smooth sailing. Roar! Kong Mok roared angrily. "Your Majesty, are we going back now?" an upper void stage expert asked. "No, I want to kill," Kong Mok said through gritted teeth. "Kill. Go to the Julu Academy. Even if I can't get the providence of the Darjan Empire, I want to get the providence of the Julu Academy." "Me," Kong Mok said coldly. Yes. The group of people rode on their horses to the Julu Academy to welcome the last disaster of the East Divine Continent. Chapter 937. Dazhao Holy Land, Dazhao Mountain. The original Wu Clan Hall had been changed to Dazhao Palace. Within the Dazhao Palace, Mohina Jin's face darkened as he smashed a tea table with his palm. The 6 middle void stage cultivators and Yang Jigu's faces were extremely ugly. "Father, during your battle with Kong Mok and the others, 2 of the 4 vassal sects of Dazhao were exterminated while the other 2 sects mostly surrendered to the Great Shan Empire," Yang Jigu shouted. "Bastards, we should have taken back their merits long ago," Mohina Jin said with a gloomy face. Thanks to Mo Yushi's help in the past, a large number of Great Shan's men were placed in the southeast of Dazhao Holy Land. At this moment, 350 cities of Dazhao Holy Land have fallen into the hands of Great Shan. Taking a deep breath, Mohina Jin said coldly, "Yang Chuan? I really underestimated him back then. Master, our Great Zhao Sacred Land currently has 650 cities. Although the Great Shan dynasty destroyed our vassal sects, they only took the cities of the Fengyang sect. If our sect takes the cities of the other 4 vassal sects, and if we include the other middle-level sects that are fighting over them, our Great Zhao Sacred Land will be able to reach 1,000 cities. A middle void realm cultivator said. 1,000 cities? Mohina Jin took a deep breath and nodded. "Father, Should we kill Yang Chuan? Yang Jigu said with a gloomy face. The middle void stage cultivator immediately said, Young master, we just received news that Kong Mok brought the remaining people to Yang Chuan. 5 middle void stage cultivators and 1 upper void stage cultivator died on the spot. According to the conversation between Yang Chuan and Kong Mok, the primordial path Buddha and relic Buddha also died at the hands of Yang Chuan. What? Impossible! Yang Jigu exclaimed. The middle void stage cultivator shook his head to express his confirmation. Mohina Jin's face darkened. He then shook his head and said, Forget it, the Great Jiao Holy Land's mid-level strength is empty. Let's stabilize these 1,000 cities first. Yes. Everyone nodded. Pick some lower void realm disciples who are absolutely loyal to the Great Jiao Holy Land. This sovereign will use the 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus to quickly raise their cultivation and stabilize the Great Jiao Holy Land. Mohina Jin said solemnly. Yes. Everyone immediately responded. Great Shan Empire, Yang Capital, Chaotian Palace, Hua Guang, Jin Dayu, and Meng Wanruo had all returned. Ranking in the court, Yi Feng stepped forward. Congratulations, Your Majesty. My Great Shan Imperial Dynasty now controls 1,100 cities in the East Divine Continent. We are number 1 in the East Divine Continent. Yi Feng smiled. Congratulations, Your Majesty. The officials all bowed respectfully, expressing their excitement at this moment. 1,100? How many years has it been since Daejeon was established? Wasn't it developing too quickly? Similarly, the officials of Daejeon were also incomparably excited. The more powerful Daejeon was, the more benefits they would receive. I suggest that the Great Shan Imperial Dynasty stop expanding its territory and focus on stabilizing the Great Shan Empire's territory. Yi Feng shouted. I concur. Meng Wanruo also shouted. I concur. The officials immediately said. Approved. On the dragon throne, Yang Chuan nodded. Yi Feng stepped forward. Liu Gang stepped forward. Reporting to Your Majesty, the East Factory Guard of the Julu Academy has reported. Kong Mok has brought a group of thieves to Julu Academy and is preparing to massacre the Julu Academy. They want to steal the fortune of the Julu Academy, Liu Gang said respectfully. Meng Wanruo's expression changed. Although she wasn't at the Julu Academy, she was still somewhat worried. Chapter 938. It's a pity that he was defeated at the Julu Academy again, Liu Gang reported. Oh. Yang Chuan was curious. A person called Meng Lingtian appeared at the Julu Academy this time. When Kong Mok gave the order to massacre the city, Meng Lingtian attacked and killed 2 upper void realm cultivators and 10 middle void realm cultivators with a single palm. In the end, they let Kong Mok go because of the Kong family. Liu Gang reported excitedly. The officials sighed. Kong Mok was so unlucky. 11 upper void realm cultivators had died in the East Divine Continent. How big of a blow was that? Meng Lingtian? Meng Wanruo exclaimed. Wanruo, you know Meng Lingtian? Yang Chuan looked at Meng Wanruo. Meng Wanruo stepped forward blankly. Yes, Meng Lingtian is my great-grandfather. Your Majesty has been to the Julu Academy and knows that Goddess Ji Chen is in the 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. There are hundreds of immortal statues in the Julu Academy. Meng Lingtian is only one of them. I know that there is a world of light in the 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. It seems that Meng Lingtian lives in the world of light. This place suppresses immortals. Meng Lingtian was able to attack safely. It seems that the laws of heaven and earth changed after Jingting removed the heaven seal. Yang Chuan said seriously. Immortal? The officials sucked in a breath of cold air. There were immortals in the Julu Academy. World of light. Meng Wanruo frowned. There are hundreds of immortal statues in the 100 Saints Righteousness Altar. I didn't pay attention. Now that Meng Lingtian is one of the immortals, there should be more than one immortal in the world of light, right? Yang Chuan analyzed as he tapped his dragon throne. More than one immortal? The officials' expressions turned ugly. I'm not sure. Among the 100 immortals, more than half of them have been recorded as having ascended. Some of them, such as my great-grandfather, may have ascended outside the Julu Academy. Some of them may still be living in the world of light. I'm not sure. Meng Wanruo shook his head. Since there are immortals in the Julu Academy, it's possible that there are immortals in the various sects with long histories in the world. Meng Wanruo, I want you to count all the sects and families that have existed for more than 10,000 years. Yang Chuan ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. Meng Wanruo answered. After the court meeting, some of the important officials of Great Zhen did not leave. Instead, they went to the upper study room for Yang Chuan to meet them. In the upper study, Yang Chuan faced Meng Wanruo. Your Majesty, I dare not. This burden is too heavy. Meng Wanruo smiled bitterly. Is it heavy? Didn't Yi Feng do very well in the past? Yang Chuan smiled. But Meng Wanruo was still worried. Immortals have appeared. Great changes have happened in this world. I must quickly prepare all the countermeasures. Meng Wanruo, in the future, there will be more than 1,000 cities in Great Zhen. In the future, there will be 10,000 cities, 100,000 cities, or even more. Dealing with the current cities is the most basic. I allow you to transfer civil officials from the Julu Academy. As for how to subdue the generals, Meng Wanruo, I'll give you the title of Commander of the Fourth Corps. I hope you won't bury this title. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Yes. I will definitely protect Great Zhen for Your Majesty. Meng Wanruo said affirmatively. Good. Go. Yang Chuan nodded. Meng Wanruo left and Liu Gang entered the upper study room. After Yang Chuan gave him some instructions, Liu Gang's expression changed. Liu Gang's expression changed as he immediately understood Yang Chuan's plan. Your Majesty, please rest assured. If Meng Wanruo is in charge, my East Depot guards will definitely be hidden everywhere. There won't be any slip-ups. The East Depot will definitely monitor the world for Your Majesty, Liu Gang said solemnly. Chapter 939. Yes, Liu Gang. Although your constitution isn't good, I think highly of you. This time, you will stay and set up a perfect East faction. If you can ensure that you can escape safely next time, I will bring you out. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Your Majesty. Don't worry, I won't disappoint Your Majesty, Liu Gang promised. Yes, the Empress won't be going with me this time. If you encounter anything big, you can report it to the Empress. Yang Chuan said. Yes. Liu Gang nodded. Go. Yang Chuan said. Liu Gang left, and Hu Guang, Yi Feng, Jin Dayu, Liu Jin, and Bai Ditian entered the study together. The five of them knew something was up. Bai Ditian, your tiger demons will have to work harder this time and listen to ZZ and Meng Wanruo's orders. This is to prevent any mutiny in Daezhun while we are away. Yang Chuan said carefully. Don't worry. Bai Ditian nodded. Hu Guang, go back and tell Tan Lang not to cause any trouble during this period. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Hu Guang said with a hint of excitement. Looking at the five of them, Yang Chuan nodded and said, this time, we will be dreaming of Tianji. Prepare well. After I settle everything in 10 days, we will set off. Yes. The five of them replied. Yang Jing, in a forbidden area in the palace. Tiger demons were guarding the area. No one was allowed to come close. In the sky above this forbidden area, a dark cloud constantly flashed with lightning. Under the dark clouds were naturally Yang Chuan and ZZ. The two of them leaned on a roof and looked at the scenery around Yang Jing. I won't be able to see you for many years again, ZZ sighed. I'll just lie here. You can see me every day. I just can't say it. Yang Chuan comforted ZZ. A smile blossomed on ZZ's face as she said, I'm already very happy to be by your side. Don't worry, with me around, no one will disturb you. Kissing ZZ's forehead, Yang Chuan whispered in ZZ's ear, actually, next time when I come back, we might be able to. ZZ was stunned at first, then her face turned red. She punched Yang Chuan twice and said, I don't want to. Yang Chuan laughed. Meow. A discordant voice jumped over. Yang Chuan, where are you going? Why aren't you taking me with you? Meow said in a displeased tone. If you go with me, who will accompany Zizi? Your mission is the most important. I have a large number of spirit stones waiting for you to eat, Yang Chuan said with a smile. A large number of spirit stones? Meow's eyes lit up. Meow, all right, for the sake of the spirit stones, I'll accompany Sister Zizi. Meow immediately smiled. Zizi smiled faintly. By the way, they're already here, Meow said. Yang Chuan looked at Zizi, and both of them stood up at the same time. They flew down from the roof. Below, Hua Guang, Yi Feng, Jin Dayu, Liu Jin, and Bai Detian stood together. Xianyang Palace? Yi Feng looked at the palace in front of him. He saw Yang Chuan and Zizi land. Greetings, Your Majesty. Greetings, Your Majesty. Everyone shouted. Yang Chuan nodded. Zizi smiled faintly. Dream of heaven's secrets. Your Majesty, are we going to do the same as Meng Wanruo? Jin Dayu asked curiously. After all, Jin Dayu had witnessed the strangeness of Dream of Heaven's secrets last time. Yang Chuan shook his head. No, it's different this time. The sealed world is too small. Let's soul travel together, Yang Chuan said solemnly. Soul travel? Your Majesty, our souls will enter the immortal realm, Hua Guang said in surprise. That's right. Let's go to Xianyang Palace. Yang Chuan nodded. Chapter 940. Xianyang Palace. When Yang Chuan led the group into the palace, Feng Yinyang was already waiting for them. Inside the palace, there were 7 coffins in total. 1 main coffin and 6 other coffins placed side by side. The hall was filled with raging yin energy. Your Majesty, your subject's feng shui formation has simulated the heavenly tribulation acupoint. The heavenly tribulation acupoint is filled with yin energy. It is inappropriate for it to fall into the palace. Thus, your subject built this Xianyang Palace with the dragon veins from all directions to guard the yin energy. Thus, this palace is named Xianyang Palace. Feng Yinyang explained. Xianyang Palace? Yang Chuan furrowed his brows and fell into deep thought. Your Majesty, is there something wrong with this name? Feng Yinyang asked doubtfully. Yang Chuan came back to his senses and shook his head. No, I just felt that the name sounded familiar. Perhaps I was overthinking. Xianyang Palace, not bad. Yang Chuan looked at the group. In a moment, our souls will enter the immortal realm. I will remind you one by one in the immortal realm. But, do you know what to do next? Your Majesty, please guide us. The group looked at Yang Chuan. After your soul enters the celestial realm, your soul won't stay in the celestial realm for long. At the same time, you don't have to worry about your future because once the time is up, or if I summon your souls, you will all return. In this limited time, you must be free from all restrictions and restrictions. Do not be bound by any rules. Yang Chuan said solemnly. Then, what should we do? Hua Guang was puzzled. Be a devil for all ages. Yang Chuan's eyes darkened. Devil? Hua Guang's expression froze. Remember one word. Yang Chuan said solemnly. The group looked at Yang Chuan. Kill. Yang Chuan said with a serious expression. Yes. Everyone replied. Yang Chuan lay in the main coffin while Hua Guang, Yi Feng, Jin Dayu, Liu Jin, Bai Detian, and Feng Yinyang lay in the other 6 coffins. He placed a black jade talisman on his forehead. Yang Chuan looked at Zizi and Meow and said, Let's go. Yes. Zizi replied with a gentle look in her eyes. Then, a huge black banner at the side suddenly shook. Who? Inside the main hall, black smoke suddenly swirled around, and a chilly wind blew. Hua Guang and the others gradually fell into a deep sleep. Whoosh! The black banner swayed again. Great Soul, go! Following Yang Chuan's shout. The souls of the 7 people rushed out and split into 200, which meant that there were 1,400 souls. They shot up into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. Dream of heaven's secrets. Yang Chuan led the 6 people and rushed to the immortal world. Yang Chuan and the others entered the dream of heaven's secret. The East Divine Continent was in an uproar at this moment. The world was huge, so it took a long time for news to spread to the various large sects. There were still 16 middle-level sects in the East Divine Continent. These 16 middle-level sects had all received news from the Great Shan Empire. In the main hall of a middle-level sect, there were 10 cultivators sitting in the main hall. The 10 cultivators' faces were gloomy as they looked at the blue-robed cultivator in the lead. Sect Master, this is impossible. The Great Shan Empire? Isn't this growth rate too terrifying? One of the cultivators said with an ugly expression. Sect Master, when the Great Shan Empire destroyed the Great Winged Heaven School, you went to help. Is that Yang Chuan really so powerful? Another cultivator frowned. The sect master looked bitter. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Yang Chuan, who was in the Immortal realm back then, actually destroyed 7 middle-level sect. Chapter 941. There must be something we don't know. Continue to investigate. I want information on all the officials in the Darjan Empire. Also, where has Yang Chuan been all these years? What has he been doing? The sect leader clenched his fists. Sect leader, the Darjan Empire controls 1,100 cities. It's already the number 1 in the East Divine Continent. If we do this, won't we anger Yang Chuan? A cultivator said with a complicated expression. The sect leader's expression also turned ugly. Anger. Secretly collect information, yes. Also, an immortal has appeared in the Julu Academy. Send disciples to investigate. Also, the Great Jiao Holy Ground is filled with evil energy. Send people to investigate as well. The sect leader said. Yes. Everyone replied. The same scene occurred in the various middle-tier sects. Jingyu ascended. After ascending, the East Divine Continent instantly became a tripartite balance of power. The Darjan Empire had the first territory. The Great Jiao Holy Ground was the only upper-tier sect. Julu Academy had an immortal. Whether they admitted it or not, at this moment, the 3 major powers of the East Divine Continent were determined. As for the remaining 15 middle-tier sects, they were interspersed between the 3 major powers. Although they were also middle-tier sects, individually, they were far inferior to the 3 major powers. The originally peaceful world suddenly seemed like a storm was coming. Julu Academy. At the entrance of the radiant world, Dongfang Zhengpai's face was dejected. Heavens, old Meng, how many years has it been? Why do you still want me to cultivate Confucianism? I want to go out. Dongfang Zhengpai lamented. HMPH. A cold snort came from behind Dongfang Zhengpai. Dongfang Zhengpai's face stiffened. He immediately turned his head and looked at the gloomy Meng Lingtian. Ah, teacher, a day apart really feels like 3 years. Teacher, you don't know, but under your guidance, I feel like I've grown a lot. I'm so touched that I can't even express it in words. Teacher, please accept my sincere worship. Dongfang Zhengpai instantly revealed a fawning expression. Seeing Dongfang Zhengpai's expression, Meng Lingtian's face twitched. What kind of person is Senior Dongfang Bubai? How can he have a descendant like you? Meng Lingtian's face was filled with disappointment. Teacher, you flatter me. Student's skin is thin. Dongfang Zhengpai's skin was extremely thick. Meng Lingtian. Since you don't want to stay, that's good. I have something for you to do. Meng Lingtian said. What is it? Dongfang Zhengpai's eyes lit up. Find Sima Yuntian and tell him that he wants to know who his ancestor is. Tell him to come back immediately. Your mission is to bring him back to Julu Academy, Meng Lingtian said. Looking for Sima Yuntian? Dongfang Zhengpai was extremely fat. When he saw that he could leave this cage, he was so excited that all the fat on his body started to tremble. Teacher, I'll definitely complete the mission you've given me. However, once I leave, I don't know when I'll be able to see you again. I can't bear to part with you. Dongfang Zhengpai pretended to wipe his eyes. If you can't bear to part with me, then let Meng Rongrong go. Meng Lingtian laughed. Dongfang Zhengpai's face turned solemn. Teacher, how can we do that? Meng Rongrong was a girl. How could she run around the world? How dangerous was that? Although the mission is difficult, I'll definitely complete it. Teacher, I'll leave early and return early. Whoosh. Dongfang Zhengpai immediately disappeared. Seeing that Dongfang Zhengpai was nowhere to be seen, Meng Lingtian laughed bitterly. It was hard to understand how Dongfang Bubai could have such an outstanding descendant. Meng Rongrong, on the other hand, remained calm. Rongrong. Meng Lingtian called out. Yes, great-grandfather. Meng Rongrong looked at Meng Lingtian. Your skills in the Tao of the Guqin are truly astounding. I've received permission to teach you the 8 notes of the Sky Demon. Are you willing to learn it? Meng Lingtian asked. 8 notes of the Sky Demon? Meng Rongrong frowned. The 8 notes of the Sky Demon. Even I can only learn up to the 3rd note. That's because it requires one to sever all emotions in order to reach the other shore. I can't do that. You're the most skilled person I've ever met in the Tao of the Guqin. Are you willing to learn it? Meng Lingtian said seriously. Sever all emotions? Meng Rongrong frowned. At this moment, Meng Rongrong didn't know why, but that barbaric figure suddenly appeared in her mind. Think about it. Once you've made up your mind, come and find me, Meng Lingtian said. Yes, great-grandfather. Meng Rongrong nodded. West Divine Continent. Kong Mok led more than 60 experts back on horseback. Along the way, the experts were all silent. They were feeling terrible, especially Kong Mok. When he'd first gone to the East Divine Continent, Kong Mok had been extremely ambitious. He'd even felt that it wouldn't be impossible for his team to destroy Jingming City. But the battle in the East Divine Continent had caused Kong Mok's ambitions to be thwarted again and again, challenging Jingming, courting death. Luckily, King Yu of the Southern Divine Continent had tested the waters for everyone. Jingming's strength had already exceeded everyone's expectations. Then, he had subdued Yarou Tianshang and lured out the strongest person in the world 30,000 years ago, Zhu. 4 Upper Void Realm experts had died. Mohina Jin had killed another 2 Upper Void Realm experts. Yang Chuan had killed another 3 Upper Void Realm experts. Finally, Meng Lingtian had killed another 2 Upper Void Realm experts. No one would be able to understand the hardships of this journey. No one would be able to understand the grievances he had suffered along the way. Challenging one and kicking an iron plate. Challenging one and kicking an iron plate. Challenging one and kicking an iron plate all the way back, Kong Mok felt like dying. How could this be? Kong Mok asked himself along the way. Finally, Kong Mok arrived at the Great Buddha Empire. He had finally returned. At the entrance of the capital. Roar. Kong Mok let out a loud roar. Your Majesty is back. Your Majesty, bad news, Your Majesty. Before Kong Mok could finish venting, a group of officials ran over, their faces filled with grief and anger. Kong Mok suddenly had a bad feeling. What happened? Kong Mok asked in a low voice. Your Majesty, some time ago, a woman came. She called herself the Empress. One of the officials shouted. Empress? Yes, she called herself the Empress. Then, she found the habitat of the Ice Phoenix clan and slaughtered all the Ice Phoenix clan. Not one was left alive, not one was left alive, the official said in horror. What? The Ice Phoenix clan that submitted to me were all slaughtered. The Ice Phoenix, he is an Upper Void Realm expert. Kong Mok exclaimed in shock. Yes, he is an Upper Void Realm expert. However, that Empress is too powerful. The Ice Phoenix could not escape at all. He was killed by the Empress with a single slash. The corpse of the Ice Phoenix is still here. Your Majesty, the official Jiaohu said. Another Upper Void Realm expert. Another Upper Void Realm expert died. Roar. Kong Mok roared in depression. Chapter 942. Book 6 Heroes Rise Together Chapter 1. Return after 50 years. Great Shan Empire, Yangjing. In the main hall of the Eastern Military Factory's headquarters, Liu Gang looked at a factory guard in front of him. Governor, Yang Yangyun left Yang Jing alone and headed west. Although he thought he could hide from everyone, he was still seen by a Baihu. A guard reported respectfully. Yang Yangyun. Looks like Yang Qiuyu's son is still brooding over Yang Qiuyu's death and went to find Yang Wudi, Liu Gang said with a frown. Sir, should we capture him? The guard asked solemnly. Liu Gang frowned and pondered for a while. Not for the time being. We'll talk about it after I report to the Empress. Liu Gang shook his head. At the same time, Meng Wanruo also received the news. My lord, this Yang Yangyun clearly went to find Yang Wudi for revenge. Should we capture her? An official respectfully asked Meng Wanruo. Meng Wanruo frowned and pondered deeply. In the end, she took a deep breath and shook her head. No, let him go. Ah, let him go. The official asked in surprise. First of all, you have no way to prove that he is definitely looking for Yang Wudi for revenge, so there is no reason to arrest him. Secondly, even if it is true, it is not our place to intervene. This is an internal matter of His Majesty's clan, Meng Wanruo said in a deep voice. Yes. The official could only helplessly reply. At the same time, several members of the Yang clan who were highly respected also arrived at the imperial palace to see ZZ. Empress, we've already restrained them, but we didn't expect Yang Yangyun to be so bold. It's better to capture him as soon as possible, an elder of the Yang clan said worriedly. ZZ shook her head and said, everyone, there's no need to be nervous. His Majesty has already considered all of this. Let him go. Ah! Everyone was at a loss. 45 years later. Central Divine Continent. The Dugu family. Sword Mound. Yang Wudi held the heaven-mending sword in his hand as he battled the 9 experts. Countless Dugu family members were quietly watching from all directions. Sheeing. 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 As soon as the heaven-mending sword appeared, huge sword lotuses bloomed in all directions. As soon as the sword lotuses appeared, endless sword lights shot towards the 9 experts to surround them. The swordsmanship of the 9 great experts was also extremely tyrannical. Complex swordsmanship was even more at the fingertips of these 9 people. The 9 experts' swordsmanship was excellent, but it was a pity that Yang Wudi's swordsmanship was stronger. Standing in the middle of the sword lotus, he was like a sharp sword that shot into the sky, causing others to cower in fear. Boom! The sword lotus exploded, and more than 3,000 sword lights sent the 9 experts flying. Sheeing. There was a long sword at each expert's throat. The long sword didn't move any closer. It merely stopped at the throats of the 9 experts, emitting a series of sword cries. He exhaled softly. Yang Wudi smiled faintly. Boom! The sword chi exploded, and the divine sword fell into the sword tomb. The 9 experts had all been defeated. The 9 experts looked at each other. Solitary sword pays respect to the patriarch. The Dugu 2 swords greets the patriarch. Solitary 9 swords greets the patriarch. The 9 experts bowed respectfully. At the same time, the Dugu family members all around also bowed respectfully. Greetings to the patriarch. Standing high in the sky, Yang Wudi's face revealed a trace of excitement. Uncle Chuan, I succeeded. I finally got everyone's recognition, Yang Wudi said to himself excitedly. Just as Yang Wudi was excited, a man who looked like a beggar had arrived outside the Dugu family. He was in a sorry state. Chapter 943. The man's hair was disheveled and his face was covered in blood and mud. His clothes were tattered and he looked extremely miserable. Dugu family? The man looked at the stone tablet and his eyes were filled with tears. Who are you? Suddenly, there was a loud shout and 2 disciples of the Dugu family stood in front of the beggar. I want to see Yang Wudi. I want to see Yang Wudi. He is my brother. After the beggar finished speaking, he fainted. Yang Wudi? Brother? Quickly report to the family head. One of the disciples said immediately. Yes. One of the disciples quickly rushed into the house while the other transferred a stream of true energy to the beggar. When the beggar woke up again, he was lying in an extremely spacious hall. The beggar opened his eyes and looked around. Suddenly, he saw Yang Wudi standing at the side. Brother, Brother. The beggar immediately cried. Yang Yun. Why are you here? What happened to your injuries? Yang Wudi frowned. Brother, father is dead. Father was forced to death by Yang Chuan. You have to avenge father. The beggar cried. What? Yang Wudi's face changed. Father was forced to death by Yang Chuan. Impossible. Yang Wudi exclaimed. It's true, brother. The beggar grieved. Yang Wudi's face was extremely ugly. How is it possible? Uncle Chuan forced father to death. How is it possible? Yang Yun, tell me clearly what's going on. Tell me clearly. Yang Wudi said impatiently. Yang Yun sorted out her thoughts and told Yang Wudi everything from beginning to end. Yang Wudi clenched his fists tightly and his face turned pale. Brother, brother. Yang Yun cried. Yang Yun, you recuperate first. 10 days later, I will return to Yangjing with you. Yang Wudi's face was extremely gloomy. Yes. Yang Yun nodded. It was the 50th year since Yang Chuan brought his officials into the heavenly secret realm, below a city. Yang Chuan led the 6 of them to look ahead. It was an incomparably majestic city. Its size was even larger and more majestic than the #1 city in the sealed realm, the Great Jew City. Unfortunately, all that was left of this city were dilapidated walls and dilapidated walls. He could vaguely see a broken stele erected not far away. On the stele were the words Qin capital. Qinju? Is this the capital of your previous life? Bai Ditian asked curiously. Everyone looked at it carefully. Previous life. Yang Chuan's previous life. After following Yang Chuan for so many years, they vaguely knew some things about Yang Chuan. Diazhen in the previous life. Was this the capital of Diazhen in his previous life, the capital of Qin? Yeah. Unfortunately, after I died, this place was reduced to a pile of ruins, and it was even burned by demonic flames. The energy of the world is extremely chaotic. Yang Chuan sighed lightly. As he spoke, Yang Chuan took a step forward and flew into the sky. Everywhere he passed, he looked down at his surroundings. The 6 of them followed closely behind. There was not a single person in the vast city. Everything looked bleak. Gradually, the 7 of them flew into a dilapidated hall. Yang Chuan looked at the deformed corner and smiled bitterly. This was the place where his previous life's wife, Zhen Ru, died. Zhen Xiong? Yang Chuan's eyes were cold. The 6 of them did not dare to interrupt. They quietly waited for Yang Chuan. Only when Yang Chuan calmed down did Yang Chuan take a step forward and fly out of the Qin capital to another place. It was in the mountains. The mountains were shrouded in fog, making it difficult to see what was inside. After flying for a while, Yang Chuan and the others landed on the peak of a mountain. Chapter 944. In front of them was a desert surrounded by mountains. However, the desert here was made of black sand. Yang Chuan narrowed his eyes. After all, this was the place where Yang Chuan's body from his past life was buried. It was not like this back then. How did it end up like this? 7 souls? 7 ghost cultivators? Ha 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 ha. How dare ghost cultivators wander around the mortal realm? It just so happens that I'm in need of a few yin ghost puppets. I was worried that I couldn't find any high-level ghost cultivators. So, you've delivered yourselves to me? A voice suddenly rang out. Following that, a huge black screen shot into the sky from a nearby forest. A domineering aura pressed down on them. A cultivator who was 100 feet tall could be seen in the black screen. However, this cultivator was extremely ugly. His face was covered in pustules. At this moment, he was charging toward them arrogantly. Yang Chuan did not move. Hu Guang suddenly took a step forward. Hu Guang flipped his hand, and a blood-red spear appeared in his palm. The spear was brimming with a murderous aura. You have a death wish. Boom. He thrust the spear forward, and a violent storm swept up in the surroundings. The storm was blood-red as though it contained an endless amount of murderous aura. Ah! How can this be? The 100 feet tall heretic exclaimed. A skull appeared in his palm to block the attack. Boom! The skull exploded, and the spear pierced the heretic's chest. "How can this be?" The heretic cried out in shock. However, at this moment, the energy spear retracted and slashed down. Boom! The heretic crashed into the ground. A huge crater was formed in the ground. The 7 of them looked down at the heretic. The heretic, on the other hand, was completely dumbfounded. Is this a ghost cultivator? His chest was shattered, and he was severely injured. The ghost cultivator could not fight back at all. The heretic knew that he had hit a wall this time. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. "Seniors, I've offended you earlier. Please forgive me," the heretic said sorrowfully. "I remember that there were 100 huge mountains here. How did it become a black desert?" Yang Chuan asked in a low voice. That was a long time ago. Senior, you don't know? The evil cultivator was at a loss. "Speak," Yang Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, senior. There used to be nothing here, but one day, a swordsman came and split a mountain peak with a swing of his sword. At that time, a feng shui master appeared and tried to stop him, but the swordsman was too strong. He couldn't stop him at all. In the end, the feng shui master sacrificed his life to open the door to the netherworld. Unexpectedly, there was a huge spring below. The spring swallowed everything around it, and then the door to the netherworld closed, leaving behind a land of black sand. The heretic explained. "Shu Fu, Zhenru's master, so he has always been guarding my tomb," Yang Chuan muttered to himself. "Do you still remember who that sword cultivator is?" Yang Chuan asked coldly. "Oh, I remember that the feng shui master scolded him. His name is Zhen Xiong." "Yes, Zhen Xiong," the evil practitioner recalled. "Ha ha 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 ha." Yang Chuan laughed out loud. His voice was filled with coldness. "Zhen Xiong isn't even willing to let go of my corpse. Let's go." Yang Chuan shouted coldly. He turned around and led everyone away. The heretic was at a loss when he saw everyone leave just like that. "We can't stay here any longer. It's too terrifying. We have to leave immediately." The heretic struggled into the forest. Yang Chuan and the others continued flying. Yang Chuan's face was gloomy, and everyone else was silent. The atmosphere was extremely tense. "Where are we going now, Your Majesty?" Liu Jin asked. "We're going back first. I heard Zizi calling for me. It seems that Yang Jing has reappeared. Zhen Xiong, I will be back. When I return, it will be the day of your death," Yang Chuan said coldly. "Yes, Your Majesty," everyone replied. "Let's go back." Yang Chuan waved his hand, and everyone immediately disappeared. Chapter 945. Great Shan Dynasty, Yangjing, Skyward Hall Square. On one side of the plaza, Yang Wudi returned with a strong momentum. Behind him were 20 disciples of the Dugu family. Each of them held a sword as they coldly looked at the Skyward Hall before them. Yang Wudi was the leader, and his eyes were filled with endless hostility. Yang Yangyun, on the other hand, was excited. Yang Wudi, the head of the Dugu family, the invincible Dugu. Along the way, Yang Yangyun had already understood how powerful her brother was. There was no need for Yang Wudi to make a move. A Dugu clan disciple behind him could kill the great fiends blocking his path with one sword strike. Yang Wudi looked at the Skyward Hall with a gloomy expression. At this moment, the officials of the Great Shan Dynasty were standing in the square of the Skyward Hall. Meng Wanruo and Liu Gang frowned as they watched, along with a group of Yang clan relatives. An old man from the Yang clan said, "Yang Wudi, you cannot blame His Majesty for your father's death." "That's right. If His Majesty wanted your father to die on purpose, why would he wait until he rebelled? Also, His Majesty didn't make things difficult for your younger brother and sister. He only stripped them of their titles and gave them to their descendants. His Majesty has already done his best." Another Yang clan elder said. "Yang Wudi, be rational. It was your father who rebelled first. Your father rebelled. Rebelling is a capital offense. Your father brought this upon himself. Yang Wudi, let go of your prejudices. The Yang clan relatives kept trying to persuade him. However, Yang Wudi's eyes were red. He shook his head gently and said, "But, he is still my father. Brother." The group of Yang Wudi's younger brothers and sisters didn't know what to do. Their eyes were all red. He wanted to take revenge for Yang Qiuyu, but Yang Qiuyu had only herself to blame. It was indeed Yang Qiuyu's fault. Although Yang Qiuyu was his father, it was an indisputable fact. However, they couldn't just ignore it and pretend that nothing had happened. After all, that was their father. "Tell Yang Chuan to come out and see me," Yang Wudi roared. As he roared, a storm of sword chi suddenly burst out in all directions of Yang Jin. At this moment, Yang Wudi also felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. On one side was Uncle Chuan, whom he admired the most, and on the other side was his biological father. Although it was his father's fault, he was still his father. Why? What Yang Wudi had said before was different from the truth. At this point, Yang Wudi had also figured it out. However, even if he understood it, so what? In the end, Yang Chuan killed Yang Qiuyu. The Yang clan relatives at the side were also anxious. The Yang clan relatives were extremely happy that a powerful person like Yang Chuan had appeared in the Yang clan. Now that another powerful person had appeared, the Yang clan relatives were naturally excited. However, these two powerful people were now standing on opposite sides. This would be a great disaster for the entire Yang clan bloodline. There was no way to persuade him. Yang Wudi didn't listen at all. After all, that was his father. Everyone was anxious. At this moment, in the Xianyang Palace, Zizi gently called out to Yang Chuan. The dream of heavenly secrets. Everyone else was only left with their bodies. However, the master of this technique, Yang Chuan, left a trace of consciousness that could connect to the soul outside. Whoosh! Suddenly, a gust of yin wind blew in the main hall. In an instant, endless yin qi spewed out. Rumble! The entire Xianyang Palace trembled violently as a powerful aura spread out. Huff! 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 Chapter 946. One by one, the souls rushed into Yang Chuan's body. Yang Chuan's soul was the first to return. In the blink of an eye, 200 souls entered his body. Buzz! Yang Chuan opened his eyes. "He's awake." "Meow." Meow said excitedly. Zizi also revealed a happy smile. When Yang Chuan opened his eyes, he was slightly stunned. It was as though he was sorting out everything in his mind. 200 souls. That was 200 lives. At this moment, the 200 memories quickly merged and became a part of Yang Chuan. Phew! Yang Chuan exhaled softly. He slowly regained his senses and gently removed the black jade talisman. He was the first to walk out of the coffin and looked at the 6 people who were still sleeping. He grabbed the soul summoning banner. "Soul, return tilde 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 tilde." With a soft shout, a chilly wind blew in the hall again. More than 1,000 souls quickly returned to Yang Chuan and entered his body. The other 6 people also opened their eyes in the blink of an eye. Hu Guang, Liu Jin, Yi Feng, Jin Dayu, Feng Yinyang, and Bai Detian. Almost all of them were stunned as they integrated the 200 memories that did not belong to any order. After a while, the 6 of them finally regained their senses. After taking a deep breath, everyone looked at Yang Chuan at the same time. "Thank you, Your Majesty," everyone shouted. "We've been in the heavenly secret realm for 50 years and 200 souls. It's equivalent to 10,000 years in the heavenly secret realm. Although it's not continuous, the increase in the power of our birth charts is still counted in 10,000 years. Moreover, the 200 lives are also precious treasures. Merge them well and transform them into strength as soon as possible, especially Hu Guang, Liu Jin, and Yi Feng. Strive to break through to the void realm," Yang Chuan said solemnly. "Don't worry, Your Majesty. I'm confident," Hu Guang, Yi Feng, and Liu Jin said with a smile. 10,000 years. At that moment, Feng Yinyang, Bai Detian, and Jin Dayu were filled with emotions. Cultivation? Compared to this, the various cultivation methods in the past were simply too weak. Feng Yinyang felt that as long as he could fully assimilate this experience, he would not be weaker than his master, Li Kanglan. In fact, Feng Yinyang felt as if he could connect with the stars. Bai Detian also felt that his strength had increased. Even in the upper void realm, Bai Detian was an extremely powerful existence. Jin Dayu sucked in a deep breath. In the past, he had been in seclusion in the Great Winged Heaven School, which was nothing compared to this. Was this the power of 10,000 years of birth chart? On the other side, Yang Chuan looked at ZZ. Meow, 10,000 years? Was it really that exaggerated? Meow. I want to go too, next time I want to go too. Meow cried out pitifully as she grabbed onto Yang Chuan's sleeve with her little paws. All right. Yang Chuan nodded affirmatively. Meow. Meow was finally satisfied. What happened? Yang Chuan asked. Yang Wudi is here. He's at the entrance of the Skyward Hall. ZZ said with a frown. He's here. What's supposed to be here has finally come. Yang Chuan took a deep breath and nodded. At the entrance of the Skyward Hall. Yang Wudi's eyes were bloodshot as he held his sword. Wudi, His Majesty is not in Yangjing. It's been 50 years. Ask around, everyone knows about it. You should go and burn incense at your father's grave first. A relative of the Yang clan persuaded. There's no need. If I can't see Yang Chuan, I won't have the face to see my father. Yang Wudi shook his head firmly. But, the relative of the Yang clan said with a complicated expression. His Majesty has arrived. In the distance, Liu Jin's voice suddenly sounded. Liu Jin's voice caused the officials to turn their heads in surprise. Chapter 947. Only a few officials in Xianyang Palace knew about Yang Chuan's dream of entering the heavenly secrets. The others thought that Yang Chuan had left the palace. Now that Yang Chuan suddenly appeared, everyone was at a loss. Yang Chuan, Jin Dayu, Yi Feng, ZZ, and the others walked over. For a moment, there were no more doubts. Greetings, Your Majesty. Long live Your Majesty. The officials bowed. Yang Chuan also walked to the entrance of the Skyward Palace under everyone's gaze. Liu Gang and Meng Wanruo looked at everyone curiously. They wanted to see what was different. Yang Chuan walked in front, and everyone followed behind him. Step by step, he walked up to Yang Wudi. Brother, it's him. It's Yang Chuan who forced father to death. Yang Yangyun shouted. Shut up. Yang Wudi shouted. Yang Yangyun looked at Yang Wudi in surprise, and she forgot to speak. Seeing Yang Chuan, Yang Wudi's eyes flashed with a complicated hatred, and the heaven-mending sword in his hand trembled. Wudi, you're back. Yang Chuan said with a smile. Shiying. He waved the heaven-mending sword, and the tip of the sword pointed at Yang Chuan. How dare you? Hua Guang, Liu Jin, Jin Dayu, and the others shouted in unison. Yang Chuan waved his hand lightly, stopping everyone's shouting. Wudi, you can't point your sword at His Majesty, a Yang clan relative shouted anxiously. Since Great Zhun was established, there were rules and etiquette. Pointing a sword at His Majesty was tantamount to treason, and there was no turning back. This was not a question of forgiveness, but the system of the country. The emperor was honorable and could not tolerate the slightest insult. Even if His Majesty forgave you, the civil officials' impeachment memorials could drown you. Seeing Yang Wudi raise his sword, the hearts of all the Yang clan members rose. They were worried for Yang Wudi. Yang Chuan smiled faintly and said, Back then, in the feng shui formation of the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus, I once promised you that I would allow you to challenge me once. It seems like it's going to come true today. As soon as Yang Chuan opened his mouth, all the Yang clan members were overjoyed. With His Majesty's promise, they didn't have to worry about being impeached by the civil officials. You forced my father to his death. Yang Wudi's eyes flashed with pain. So, you want revenge? Yang Chuan smiled faintly. Yes, I want revenge. Yang Wudi's eyes turned red again. Yang Wudi understood that this matter could not be blamed on Yang Chuan, but as a son, he had no choice but to seek justice from Yang Chuan for this groundless cause and effect. Although he didn't want to raise his sword against Yang Chuan, he had no choice but to do so. Then come. Let me see how much you've learned over the years. Yang Chuan nodded in satisfaction. Yang Chuan agreed to Yang Wudi's life and death battle. Your Majesty's body is priceless. You can't risk your life. Your Majesty, please reconsider. Immediately, the officials cried out. However, Yang Chuan waved his hand and stopped the ministers from advising. Let's go. Yang Chuan stepped into the sky. He flew high into the sky. The Emperor's sword was left behind. Yang Chuan only held the Jade Emperor's sword in his hand. Buzz! The Jade Emperor's sword vibrated. Yang Chuan was ready for battle. Master! The Dugu family members cried out. They were slightly worried. Everyone stay here. This is between me and Yang Chuan, Yang Wudi said in a low voice. Yes. The Dugu family members answered. Whoosh! Yang Wudi also flew high into the sky. Standing in the sky, the two of them looked at each other. Yang Wudi took a deep breath. In his mind, he abandoned the worship for Yang Chuan and only remembered the hatred for Yang Chuan. The heavenly vein sword in his hand trembled slightly and an unstoppable aura gushed out. On the other side, Yang Chuan held the Jade Emperor's sword in his hand. He was not arrogant and was also waiting with rapt attention. Because Yang Chuan knew how terrifying Yang Wudi's legacy was, the uncle and nephew were about to fight. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.